Saw a quick glimpse outside the Maurice Richard Arena in Montreal. Fall is really taking a bite a little bit. There was a little chill this morning. We're just still under double-digit temperatures outside, but inside, of course, we're ready for another weekend of the ISU Short Track World Tour. There's our schedule for at least the morning, but it's a long day, qualifying day, all sorts of qualifying. One of two, as we now remember from last weekend, as everybody's vying for those Olympic berths. Gavin Day, Tyler Dara in the booth once again. Are we ready to go? As we know, these ones are long ones.
We're ready to go, yeah. Lots of racing ahead of us today, but you know, I think now the skaters have a feel for where they stand amongst each other. That's always the kind of the question mark going into the first World Tour event. How do I stack up against my competition? Skaters have a feel for each other now. They've kind of identified who's the outliers or who's really performing. Obviously, Rim Jong-un making a statement last weekend. He's one to watch for the big names. It was always a question mark. Okay, we knew he's a great skater, junior world champion, but can he hang with the seniors? Well, he proved he could do that. Now he's got a target on his back. Everybody's watching him, amongst other skaters like Pietro Segal, William Danjanu, all performing very well. On the women's side, Courtney Stroh really making a statement with 2 gold medals, being one to watch. Zandra Velzabor showing that she's still in top form in that 500-meter event. Not necessarily having to lead at start to finish. She's able to make those passes too. So lots of action ahead and great racing for us today.
Yeah, and these are all these skaters who are starting to get that little bit more desperate. Week one didn't go their way. Their chances are becoming fewer and fewer as we progress forward. So chance to see skaters trying to fulfill those Olympic dreams. And as you saw from our schedule, women's 1,000-meter preliminaries are up. First, top 2 skaters from each race, and up to a maximum of 4 fastest third-place skaters qualify for the heats, which are coming up in just a little bit after the men's 500-meter preliminaries. And so 8 heats in all.
Avec un avancement de 2+4 pour passer en ronde de qualification. We will be starting the first race here in a few seconds.
Well, I don't think there'll be a ton of urgency on time right out of the gate. The top skaters are going to know their strength. They're going to feel a little bit more relaxed in these opening rounds.
There's Valentina Askic, really the one to watch of the Croatian Dalmatians. There's Maya Somodi, Hyojin Kim, Eva Grenuyu, and Leia Popovikova. And what's interesting about Popovikova, to me, Tyler, is that she did get an advancement in last week's action in the 1,500 meters. That allowed her to pick up a 28th place, at least if I read the results correctly. And when you're trying to get a top 36 in that 1,500, it's top 32 in this 1,000. A result like that could prove invaluable.
Absolutely, that could be a huge result for her. It also give her a bit of a boost of confidence, know that she's in the mix, in the running to make one of those Olympic quota positions. So just that confidence, so much of racing is as much as it is on the ice, it's between the ears, believing in yourself and your abilities. So just one result like that can really boost you. And then you see her now leading from the front, right? That confidence probably paying off from last weekend.
Popovikova of the newly branded Slovakian ice steer. We did not even have, I don't think, Slovakia on the World Tour last season, but now we got a couple of skaters on the women's side and one on the men's, but now it's Somodi on the front.
Well, Popovikova, they're really pushing the pace, so I wasn't sure. Oh, Grenuyu down in that corner off the straightaway.
For the French skater, you were talking, yeah, the pace is high.
The pace is high. Popovikova went to the front. She started pushing the pace. She was thinking maybe I'd get that time advancement here, but now she's falling off the back.
Like I said, her best result was that 1,500, but it is Askic coming through as she would have been expected to do to take the heat. Good skate for Kim as well, who made a World Tour session in Beijing last season, looking to get a better weekend in the books. Last weekend.
So Askic world rank 21, so the top 20 are qualified through. So that's why we're seeing her. She was unfortunately that bubble skater who didn't get the advantage of getting the opportunity to skip through the prelims and go directly to the heats.
just Glenouille going down on her own there. There you go. Askic and Kim into the heats. Somodi will now watch a 134.554. Remember, up to 4 of 8 third fastest heats. Third places will go through. Heat number 2. As Zhang Yize of the Chinese Lungs, Malika Yermak of the Nomads, Lam Qingyan of the Hong Kong Ice Chilins, Chloe Cameron from the British Royals, and Chung Xiaoying of the Chinese Taipei Blue Magpies.
Go to the start. Ready.
All these new skaters, so many names. We pick up little bits of information as we go along, and I found about Chloe Cameron. She is just 20 years old, out of Glasgow, but has done some training, joined the program in Calgary on her debut now on World Tour. So it's always interesting how people get into the sport. You're talking to some of the Singapore skaters, and one of them listed the sports his parents wanted him to do, and I noticed they're all indoor air-conditioned sports in Singapore, of course. It's very chilly, but anyway, the Glaswegian, Chloe Cameron, second weekend on World Tour.
Zhang Yize now breaking off the front, creating some separation as Chloe Cameron looks to close that gap down, dropping the arm, accelerating out of the corner.
Zhang is the seated skater in this field. Lam Qingyan gets up into second. And then Malika Yermak up into third.
Well, Yermak might be one to look for that second place here. You can never trust those times. She's looking around the outside. Lam putting up a good defense here. Yermak gonna look for the line.
And there you go, Zhang will take it. Lam and Yermak. Yermak a 135.86. That would be a little bit behind Somodi's pace. So as the third place skates go, second of 2 for the moment. New officials on the ice this weekend. Officials in the room as well, as they rotate who gets the duties. Of course, officials around the world have to get their chance at the World Tour at the top level.
Well, it's important for the officials. They have to have regular events, a few events each season to stay relevant, keep their certification. You can't take a couple of years off and come back, even though you may have officially gotten that you may be a certain level of official, but you have to stay relevant. You have to keep officiating competitions.
Heat number 3. You saw the start list: Olga Tikhonova, Rebecca Silice-Nemeth, Yelizaveta Sidorko right there. Alyssa Puck, as I mentioned, of Singapore, the Singapore Gazelles, and Tamara Tokarova, the second of the Kazakhstan Ice Deer.
Go to the start. Ready.
Another thing we discovered about Singapore is right now there's no rink.
On to his third,
There was one until a couple of years ago, and they do have a spot of land picked out to potentially build it. But if you're building a program, it'll certainly help entice new skaters when there's a facility to skate in.
Yes, certainly makes things challenging when you don't have a home facility, the home base where you can skate and train. It forces you have to travel a lot more and be on the road. Less consistency in that way.
But in Southeast Asia, there are rinks. They happen to be in a lot of malls. As I mentioned, air conditioning is a necessity, and some of those malls they boast pretty industrial, large-scale air conditioners. I think it's a natural progression to put skating rinks in there.
So you'd say, Nemeth, right now,
Tokarova goes down out of the corner. Good battle for second. Sidorko and Tikhonova. It is Tikhonova getting up into second. Kustanay, veteran out of Kustanay, Kazakhstan, actually has a birthday coming up on the 23rd. Now she really pressures Stilice Nemeth.
Well, they're two together here. She just looks comfortable a second, but as I say that, she's going to look for the inside pass. That's tight.
Decides to maybe not force the issue for the best in the end as they both come top two. Third place time, Sidorko 139.16. That one is the slowest of the three we've had so far.
Well, a lot about these early preliminary rounds is risk management and energy management. Don't take unnecessary risks that can get you eliminated early, especially if you get a penalty, right? You can be removed from the repechage event, so don't take those unnecessary risks. Secondary then, energy management. You've got a lot of racing ahead over these 4 days. You don't need to exhaust yourself unnecessarily. Here's a look there at the fall from Tokarova.
Just getting into the back seat a little bit there. Yeah, those penalties, you mentioned those, they get under a bigger spotlight the closer we move on, because that could disrupt really badly your Olympic qualifying aspirations.
And Tikhonova right now she's sitting world rank 26, so she's in one of those top 32 positions. So she needs just to lock in a few more good races here, then she can be very confident going into the second half of the World Tour with her positioning on Olympic qualification.
There are the results. Heat number 4 coming up. Gabriela Topolska, Svetlana Repetska, Alina Azhgalieva, Myung-B Jung, and Isabella Caicedo. Azhgalieva, she just turned 20 about 8 days ago. And Jung, who skates out of Dresden in Germany. Topolska, good weekend last weekend. She made, was it an A final?
Yes, she did. 1,500 meter.
Go for the start. Ready.
Let's see how this one goes. And Caicedo and Repetska picking it up a little bit.
The women's 1,000 meters. Wearing number 33, representing the Polish Hussars, Gabriela Topolska. Number 96, representing the Ukrainian Wildcats, Svetlana Repetska. 49, representing the Kazakh Nomads,
Caicedo.
Azhgalieva.
I believe the story was another one of those skaters with an inline background.
Myung-B Jung. And finally, number
Putting the
61,
blades on.
representing Team Colombia, Isabella Caicedo.
Is Repetska, 21 years old, out of Kharkiv. Originally now lives in Zeist in the Netherlands.
Colombian skater in second.
Topolska now going around the outside.
She finished 5th.
Accelerating the pace.
Last weekend with a very strong showing.
Azhgalieva responding right away, just sitting right on the back of Topolska there.
Jung is caught up behind Caicedo, now has a gap to close if she wants to figure in one of those top 3 positions. Tough gap to close with the pace so high. Topolska and Azhgalieva really grabbing this one by the scruff of the neck. And
And this is where you can kind of relax. Once you have this safety net behind you, you don't have to overwork, stay comfortable.
Cool as you like over the line. Rapetska, the 137.49. That one will be outside of those times. Well, it's fourth of 4 right now. Actually, it's third of 4. Yes, confirmed. So it's not quite on the bubble just yet, but the situation could become quite precarious.
All clean through 4 heats, but that can always change.
In a heartbeat. But I do wonder, the thought crosses, are we going to see maybe skaters who would have maybe taken the chance think differently this weekend now that there's that increased risk of you don't want to roll into the break with some penalties and work to do in the second half of the season?
Well, Lisa Eckstein and Tinnika Dendel coming up here ranked 34-44. They're really going to want to make sure they have no mistakes this weekend. So they may be a little bit more on edge. We may see them push that pace a little bit more here because they really do have to ensure that they're advancing through the rounds. But when you get that extra pressure on you, that's when mistakes start to happen.
There is the start list: Eckstein, Dendulk, Danucia Chataisong, Diana Michalchuk, and Katrin Manoilova. Don't think she raced on World Tour last season. Did the lone female entrant of the Bulgarian Kings from Sofia. It has a great deal of experience, does Manoilova.
Go to the start. Ready.
Is Eckstein
Now on to the 5th
on the front.
race, wearing number 58, representing the German Wolves, Lisa Eckstein. Number 59, representing the Belgian Ice Bears, Tinnika Dendel. Number
Eckstein
93, representing the Italian Elephants,
25 at the end of January. Another one out of Dresden.
95,
Dresden
representing Ukrainian
frequently
Wildcats.
hosts international events. They had the European
And number
Championships
60,
last season.
representing the Bulgarian Kings, Katrin Manoilova.
Beautiful city, Dresden.
It's one I haven't been to yet. And if you wonder if we do spend a lot of time off air talking about, ooh, that would be a fun place to host a World Tour event, you'd be accurate. Yes, we do. And by we, I mean usually me.
Lisa Eckstein now, you see that arm dropping, picking up the pace here.
Got Manoilova behind her. Bulgarian flag bearer at the 2016 Youth Olympic Games, but she just slips back now.
Well, she put up the block on Tinnika Dendel, but then got pushed outside that center all the way back to 5th position.
We have Eckstein, Dendel,
It is pretty much 1 through 5 as they were on the start line.
and Michalchuk sitting in 4th. 1.5 laps to go.
This is going to be a slower race, though, so top 2 position is critical. Will Chataisong try to get something here up the inside?
Taking a look, we do know she's not afraid to make a move. Can she make it stick, though? Looks like she may. And a good result for Danucia Chataisong, getting up behind Lisa Eckstein.
That second spot behind the winner.
Well, this is the risk when you don't push the pace early. You get a slower time, all right? And that then removes spots from your race that can qualify through. So
The first race, the third place time in the 140s, so not enough for Dendulk. We didn't really see that last weekend from her, but last year's what we remember. She's not afraid to mix it up, and she ends up making that move stick into second.
Well, I think that race really played to her favor. We know she has some top-end speed, so the slower pace at the start really allowed her to conserve her energy so she could have that late surge and put that finishing move on in the last lap.
So the Elephant goes on through. The German Wolf, good win for her. Heat number 6. Annabelle Green, British Royals. Sarah Luca Baksky of the Hungarian Falcons. Betty Muske of the German Wolves. Elena Serigina of the Independent Neutral Athletes. And Kirana Laut of Indonesia.
Go. Yes. Red.
I've said it before, I'll probably say it again. I'm a big fan of the sloth helmet. It's like the opposite.
Sixth preliminary race, we have
Spirit animal.
Number 51, representing the British Royals, Annabelle Green.
Green, we do know, would also benefit from a bit of a slower pace.
Number 68, representing the German
Top
Wolves,
end speed.
88,
Of course, her excellent start, not a huge benefit to her in this race.
And number 72, representing Indonesia, Kirana Alexandra Laut.
Out of the west coast of Canada, competing for Indonesia.
La course est menée par Kirana Alexandra Laut. En deuxième position, Annabelle Green, présentement en troisième, hongroise.
Baksky responding to the move from Annabelle Green, looking to go all the way around to the front.
There goes the Hungarian Falcon now. Our new leader, Annabelle Green, following in second. 2.5 laps to go.
And it is Baksky on the front and Green as they stretch it open a little bit. Serigina trying to close, and she's getting right up there. Here comes a late surge.
Big late move.
By the outside.
Once she had clear air, she closed in on the top two, and she will take it. Green made it close, but Baksky reached out at the line.
Well, a great finishing effort from Serigina there. Staying very calm throughout, choosing her time to strike. Well executed a double outside pass there to finish. I think that might have caught Annabelle Green a little off guard there. But the time is one of the quicker ones we've seen. I think that's our second fastest third place time.
1:35.05 from Green. So with 2 heats still to go, clean day so far. Results, so 1:35.05 on the clock for Annabelle Green. Right now it's through, but we'll see what happens. 2 more to go. Aurélie Levesque of the Roosters, Nicolas Mazur of the Hussars, Barbara Gakova of the Ice Spiders, Anna Jansone of the Latvian Golden Stars, and Chiara Betti. Didn't do this last weekend, but here she is doing the 1,000 for the Italian Gladiators.
Well, yesterday we got to go through some turntables with Aurélie Levesque and Quentin Furcock, and if you don't know what turntables are, make sure you're tuned in for Saturday or Sunday.
How's that for a promo? That's all part of the World Tour session. I have a feeling if people are watching qualifiers, they might be joining us for the World Tour as well.
I'd imagine so.
Ready.
So it is Levesque 24 years old, out of Grenoble.
Represents the Polish Hussars, Nikola Masur. Number 63 represents the Czech.
A lot of documenting in the off-season. A lot of our research involves checking their social medias. Of course, we can't follow them around the world as they travel and train and all that. So the snapshots that they provide are important. And so when they started their first off-season training camp in Albertville in April, it was Aurélie Levesque who kept us all up to date.
Well, some good talent in this race. It's going to be a tight finish between Mazur Levesque and Chiara Betty, who we didn't see last weekend in the 1,000. So throwing her hat in the ring, more often, more of a 500-meter skater. But when you have that speed, you can really race at anything.
500s and relays is where we see Chiara Betty.
So movement by the inside.
Mazur up to the front right now.
French Rooster sitting in second. The Italian Gladiator currently in third.
Betty tries to make the move on the outside, can't hold on to it. And it'll be our first review of the day.
That robbed some speed from Levesque. Can she defend against Jansoon here as we go into the last lap?
Betty shaking off the hand a little bit. She was slow to get up. She's on her skates right now. Jansoon made it close, but I think Levesque held on. But Mazur takes that one going away. I don't think she's the subject of that review.
Well, I hate to make predictions early. At first glance, just from what I saw, it looked like a bit of a racing incident as Chiara Betty was looking on that outside. Just got a little bit of a contact with Levesque, which set her off. We'll watch for it here. Yeah, nothing jumping out at me on that, but
looks like where she hurt her hand, she was putting her hand across a bit Levesque and maybe got at the front of the blade.
Yeah, it looked like the foot coming down of Levesque made contact with the hand of Chiara Betty. Oof. Actually, surprised Levesque, if she had stepped on anything, stayed on her feet.
It just might have poked the front of it more than anything.
Yeah. And
results are official. No, they took a look, but nothing untoward happened. And so Jansoon with a 137.387 looks to be on the bubble. Let's see. That is the bubble time right now. So 137.387, one more heat to go. We'll see how that one holds up. There's your start list. Petra Venkova of the Czech Ice Spiders. Katarina Budic, the Croatian Dalmatians. Phoebe Stens of the Swiss Ibex. Watanabe Aoi of the Japanese Ninjas. And Eunice Lee of the USA Eagles. I don't think she was entered in this event last weekend, so seeing her first look of the season here in this distance.
Go to this line.
I'm trying to remember, was it Cameron Lute or was it Julie Lataille? But I think it was Cameron Lute.
I think it was Lute. And she did a pretty creditable result in that.
So teams can enter 3 skaters per distance. But then if you have a team of 4 or 5 athletes here, you can interchange skaters. And we see that with the Eagles. I imagine Kristen Santos Griswold and Corey Stoddard are still in the mix.
I would imagine they are, but when they're not skaters sort of in the mix for the Crystal Globe, you put in the fresh skater who can sort of carry on the work that the one the previous week did. You try to qualify those spots. You might have seen Katarina Budic with the bandage on her chin. She was in a collision last weekend with 2 other skaters.
Well, this race is going much quicker already. We already see Vankova pulling in that 9.8 lap there as Watanabe moves to the front, pulling 9.7 now. So this race is going for time. 3rd place will be critical.
And Lee is up into 3rd, but it's Watanabe right now. The 26-year-old from Tokyo on the front, Vankova.
2.5 laps to go now.
And now Eunice Lee closing right up, getting into that slipstream. We'll see how this race compares to the others. Budic closing it up a little bit. Not going to be in the mixer for it though, but Watanabe result for her, taking that one ahead of Vankova. Lee made it close, 134.59, and in the end, that is the second fastest third place time, but by a matter of a few hundredths of a second. So it was up there as Tyler spotted. The 134.575, I believe, is the official time. And see, it's just behind Somodi's time from heat number 1.
And as a result, Jansone is knocked out at the time qualification.
So it's Eunice Lee, Annabelle Green, Malika Yermak, and Maya Dora Somodi. Looking like they will be back for the women's 1,000-meter heats in a little over an hour. So there you go, the little Q next to Eunice Lee's name, and she does get through on time. And that will take us to our first ice flood of the game. You may have heard the in-arena announcer saying we'll be back at 10:17 local time. That's in about 19 minutes time. So catch a break, see you on the other side. Men's 500-meter preliminaries coming up. A lot of heats, 14 heats to come. Only the top skater and up to 6 fastest second-place skaters qualify for the heats. So, small margin for error, really.
Very small margins. And as always, they'll be quick, but I expect with 14 rounds, we will see some possible penalties here, which will be eating into those 6 fastest second-place times. So you really got to focus on the victory here.
See that skater, there's Linus Lysans of the Latvian Golden Stars. Martin Kolins of the Croatian Dalmatians, Zdenek Sepal of the Czech Ice Spiders, Wonjun Moon of the Hungarian Falcons, and Simon Bastier of the French Roosters.
Go with a start. Ready.
Moon, impressive last weekend, but in the longer distances,
Five skaters running number 35.
is lined up right behind Collins right now.
A terrific start from Moon from position number 4 to get into second. Great execution of that inside pass on Collins.
Has some work to do now. Trying to size up the move, building up some speed. Here comes Collins. Is he going to be patient, or is he going to try the move sooner than later? But the gap is closing between 3rd and 4th.
Collins getting back on his heels coming out of that turn. Simon Bastier jumping up into 3rd.
And it is Wonjun Moon wins that in a fine fashion. Collins 42.01. They've adjusted the time to a 41.989.
Well, we know from last week on the World Tour, we saw William Danjou dip into that sub 40 marker in the 500. It was around a 39.9. So we know what the top skaters are capable of. I think in these preliminary rounds, we'll be seeing those times need to be in the low 41s if they're going to go through.
You were also saying that the ice could be a bit faster this weekend. They've been refining things.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to do ice conditions also with ice thickness. So as the ice gets thicker, that the air temperature can have a bigger impact because the ice is further from the coolant underneath. So what happens is it becomes softer on the surface. So what they've tried to do this weekend is shave the ice down from about 2 inches thick to about 1.5 inches thick. So it's a little bit firmer, a little less breaky.
Heat number 2, Peter Jasapati, Hungarian Falcons, Shin Dong-min of the Korean White Tigers, Enzo Prost, the Belgian Ice Bears, Sui Shin of the Hong Kong Ice Chileans, and Martin Prantel of the Croatian Dalmatians. They're not in their the kits they introduced last year, I've noticed. Still has a sharp look. The checkerboard look is instantly recognizable in all sports. You know someone immediately is competing for Croatia.
Go with a start. Ready.
Everybody does get through that first corner. It's Shin up to second.
White Tiger, Shin Dong-min. 75 from the Belgian Ice Bears, Enzo Prost. 98 from Hong Kong, China, Sui Shin.
Well, Peter Jasapati looking to do what his teammate Wonjun Moon just did in the previous race. Get through this round here. He's got some work cut out from him as Shin Dong-min leads this race out with 1 to go.
There's Shin, he's got 3 queued up behind him. Jasapati, are we going to see him take a look? Looks like it is Shin who will keep him off his back and
Unofficial
take the
winner,
heat.
Shin Dong-min from the Korean White Tigers.
Anything's getting reviewed. Jasapati was pressured a bit, but I still think he came through ahead of Enzo Prost.
Well, Shin Dong-min doing a great job after that start, trapped on the outside, continue to accelerate his speed out wide, not trying to push too hard on Peter Yashapati there, just saying moving out wide, skating his own track, building speed, and then was able to complete that outside pass on the following corner. Sometimes skaters get impatient, they try to rush it, they try to make it happen too early. Sometimes it's better just to take that relief and then wait for that next opportunity.
So Shin goes through Yasapati. That's the second fastest of the two 500. Second place 500 meter times 42.166. So he will see how long that holds up. Heat number 3, Abzal Ashgaliev, Peter Grossklos, Lucas Ku, Liu Shucheng, and Tibor Komaritsky. There's Komaritsky, the Slovenian Gold Horns, is the legendary white buck of Slovene folklore. And the Tamara is a sort of a small bison.
I believe Grossklos and Ku are both out of the U.S. system initially, right?
Yeah, they both train there.
Go with the start. Ready.
And they scrap for that first corner. Everybody on their feet.
Well, Lucas Henry Ku is a very nice, quick skater here, showing his prowess off the start line, going shoulder to shoulder with Grossklos and winning that battle.
And it's Ku in second. He's from in Philadelphia, from Rochester, New York originally.
Liu Shucheng tracking down. Oh, just loses his footing as he tries to set up the inside pass on Ku.
Into the pads. Unfortunate for him. Ku taking a look. The veteran Ashgaliev trying to hold him off. I think he will, and it's Ashgaliev who takes it. 41.89 approximately, so that would move him atop the second place standings. But Ashgaliev, a guy who's been around the block once or twice, pressured by the youngster.
Well, if we take a look at the start here, Lucas Henry Ku just really coming over from third position with that contact on Grossklos there. That's such a heated battle. It's so difficult when you get pinched off from the outside. You have someone to your inside. You can't skate cleanly to that corner. Your strides become shorter. They become less effective. And that's when you get pinched off on the start, and it can really set you back.
And so Ashgaliev does make it through. As Tyler mentioned, we're zipping through these. They've been clean so far. As you see the results, G4 is already an interesting one. Quentin Fercoq of the French Roosters, a guy who's been on the podium at this distance internationally. Felix Pigeon, another skater with a great deal of experience. Frederick Pedersen, the Norwegian Viking, Leidsai Wanchen, and Jonathan Roskenbleck of the German Wolves.
So something we were talking about last weekend was the blades of Felix Pigeon. As you notice, they have this very different bar that's attached to the post, which is connected to the front and the back of the blade to provide some more stability and stiffness. The blade doesn't flex as much, but a little more insight on that was that is actually his dad is a machinist, and those have been developed specifically for him by his father.
Oh, interesting.
So that's why we're not seeing everybody else with those yet.
Yet, I mean, we'll see how effective it is. Because the blade design has been, the skating blade design has been pretty fixed for a while now, and this one stood out where it's like, that's new.
Yeah, most recently in the past few years, that added bar between the mounting posts, and the mounting posts are a little bit wider, so they create a little more stiffness and stability, but this is certainly a change that we've seen, kind of an extension of that.
There's Roskenbleck, 19 years old. As they're called to the line.
Go with the start. Ready.
Excellent camera pan to show the Montreal right to the start line. Either way, we're off at Falcoq, wanting to just quickly do this business with as little drama as possible. The man from Honfleur in Normandy, up in northern France.
Quentin Falcoq doing a great job getting the speed going. He knows he has to get to top speed as fast as he can, and then he's going to look to defend that lead position by being challenged by Felix Pigeon. And there it is, the inside pass from Pigeon.
Move from Pigeon. Frederick Pedersen keeping it close, but it is Pigeon now in pole position. See if Falcoq fights back, but no, I think Pigeon has enough room to see this one through. Good result for him. And a 41.64 for Falcoq as the times tick down.
So this is more of a time that I'm expecting to keep an eye on for advancing through those mid-41s. I think it's going to be what it takes.
Good result though for Pigeon. Get a look at those unique designs on his skates there. That's the results. I think of cycling where they keep trying to find new ways to go aerodynamic, and there are some that are allowed, and various handlebar fork shapes and seat post shapes and helmet designs that I'm wondering if we're going to see ever sort of a battle of technology to see who can find those extra little bits.
Well, everybody's always searching for it, but then as you mentioned, Gavin, sometimes technologies come out and then new regulations respond to those technologies to eliminate them.
Oleg Hyundai of the Ukrainian Wildcats, Tobias Wolf of Austria, Wara Noachon of the Belgian Ice Bears, Tariq Omeragic right there of the Bosnia-Herzegovina Lynxes. But he is a Lynx, he's the only one, and Ernestas Czech of the Lithuanian Bison. Nice to have Lithuania. We're just need Estonia to complete the Baltics on World Tour. We've got Latvia, of course, now we have Lithuania. Your move, Estonia.
Ready.
So this fifth preliminary race,
Hyundai in front.
Oleg Hyundai, number 54, Tobias Wolf, number 73,
Noano and Omeragic going back to back here.
and number 117,
Tobias Wolf jumping up into third now.
It is Hyundai, the top-seeded skater in this distance, in this heat by a wide margin. Just wanting to keep them off his back a little bit as he passes 46 kilometers an hour. And it's going to be a real race for second. Here comes Noachon. Omeragic spun around, but it is Hyundai. That incident will be reviewed, but 43.04 unofficially for Wolf, and already we're going to start to see times drift by the wayside, and I believe that is one of them.
Well, there was just so much interchanging of the lead there throughout that race between Omeragic, Wolf, and Noano going back and forth that you just really slows your speed down when you're constantly making moves. Often what happens, you create that pass, but then you're holding it really tight on the next turn. You're not as much accelerating, as much maintaining and being stable to stay on your footing and then try to re-accelerate again. So it really slows down the pace when all these passes are occurring.
Hyundai goes through to the toe-tapping beats of Pump Up the Jam. There is the incident. Not often we see a skater spun around like that.
Well done just to stay on your feet. Going upwards of nearly 50 kilometers an hour and row spinning backwards.
So in the end, they are still reviewing that. Once again, the review, the toe-tapping beats of Pump Up the Jam.
Well, it all starts with Tobias Wolf making that inside pass. He gets through cleanly. Noiro then looking to go up the inside, but then there's that contact between Noiro and Oberagic. We can just see on the screen there that they're reviewing.
That is what they're looking at. It was Noiro coming through. And I believe, let's just see here. No, there's nothing spectacular just yet.
If only we had a camera up here, we could watch Gavin Day break it down.
I'm dating myself by knowing this song. Also, if anyone knows, it's a British show called Philomena Kunk. She throws in random historical facts and then somehow loosely associates them to pump up the jam. So that's what I'm thinking of when I say that. I'm incredibly obscure references, I know, but either way, to the
Final decision, penalty, Belgium.
There you go. So Noiro is penalized. No advancements, though. It was not in a top 2 position. That led Tobias Wolf up there. And there is the incident contact from behind. Neil Spinaroo. Full marks for sticking that landing, though.
Really had the gymnast arms up too and everything.
He did. Heat number 6 already to go. Lorenzo Previtali of the Gladiators. Lucas Wareham, our first look at a racing Roo on the men's side. Ivan Martinic of the Croatian Dalmatians. Daniel Tiborts of the Hungarian Falcons. And Rio Ong of Singapore, of the Gazelles of Singapore.
Go is start. Ready.
Well, a hard clash of the blades there between Lorenzo Previtali and Lucas Wareham. I expect we're going to probably see a full blade change from Lucas Wareham because that was not light.
I felt the cringe from you coming over here. Someone who knows his blades. It's, oh no.
You know, for a skater, your blades are so intense. It's your contact with the ice. It's everything, right? So it's just nails on a chalkboard when you feel that happening. It just gives you the chills up your back. And, and then you're also worried about, you know, possible blade breakage or, you know, could there be a chunk out of it?
And I think they've got the drill out, so yeah, they might be doing the full change.
Well, nice to see Stephen Goff there of the USA Eagles head coach there assisting Lucas Wareham with the blade change.
So it's a small community. And short track, so people coming to each other's aid when the situation arises.
I think Lucas is going to check both blades because I think after the initial contact on the left blade with Previtali, there was a contact potentially on the right blade with Ivan Martinic. As we saw Martinic up there as well getting the blades checked out. And now in the past, skaters weren't granted this opportunity to do a blade change. And you know, it really was a detriment to the safety of the skaters then to have them go race on a blade that would have been damaged. And now, because of that fact, skaters can make these quick adjustments. So for the safety of themselves and the race and the other skaters around them.
There's Wareham, 22 years old, trains in Salt Lake City. Rugby player as well, so not afraid to mix it up, throw the shoulders a little bit. Story was his first 500 was in 2017. Fell 3 times, came last place, but hey, he's now, so he gets the last laugh. He gets to race on the World Tour.
You know, you got to start somewhere, and you can only go up from there.
They have the Southeast Asian Games coming up in Thailand. Big target for them. All right, take two.
Go to the start. Ready.
And this round we have the clean starts.
Cleanly away this time. And it is Previtali, top-seeded skater in this field, ranked 32nd.
Well, Previtali, he got through to the qualifying rounds, or the racing rounds of the World Tour last weekend here in Montreal, looking very strong out front. Oh, great move up the inside from Torres, but he can't hold it. It drops him back to fourth again.
Previtali, professional result here, just keeping the skates down. He will glide through and win the heat. And Wareham for second. 43.02, that time won't be good enough though.
Well, not the time that Lucas Wareham was hoping for, but an impressive skate nonetheless, having to go through that complete blade change. Always the blades are a little bit different than the previous set.
They are your previous favorite blades though, if I understand it. They get semi-retired and brought out when they need to do a blade change.
It's one of those things you got to tell yourself mentally. Whether or not it's true, you got to buy into it.
You did like these blades once upon a time. There we go. Wareham, 43.010. We're going to start to see those times disappear. It's on there at the moment, but that's also the 6th heat we've had. And when there's 6 fastest second place times, that is 5th by a little bit. Tobias Wolf, 0.31, currently the bubble time. And number 7 on the ice, Nico Anderman, Austria. Mercedes Zaksabai of Kazakhstan. Mohamed Bozdag, the Turkish Anatolian Pars. Jonathan Moody, the British Royals. Eirik Anderson right there, the Norwegian Vikings. That young program, a lot of the guys same ages. Juniors are just out of juniors, training in Oslo.
Go to the start. Ready.
It is Anderman quickest off the line.
We have 5 skaters, number 72 representing Austria.
A very tight start there. That bumped Moody out to the back of this pack.
38 representing the Turkish Anatolian Pars, Mohamed Bozdag. 88 representing the British Royals, Jonathan
Eirik Anderson with the move up into third. Can he make it stick?
Tight entry there between Anderman and Bozdag.
Anderman almost just holding him off. Literally.
Another attempt from Bozdag. Repetition. Can Anderson cap? No, Anderson goes down there.
I think he went down on his own, and Anderman will hold him off and take the heat.
Well, it was so tight on that second last corner between Anderman and Bozdag. I think Anderson was looking for that opportunity, right? You're always paying attention to see who's trying to make a pass, and if you can foresee that contact happening and accelerate into it, it can open the door for you to get through and work up the inside. But Anderson, maybe they're jumping the gun a little bit, trying to go and going down to that corner, unfortunately.
So 43.227 is Bozdag's time in second. Now we're going to start to see the times not be quick enough. And that is the first one to not have the little clock beside it.
Well, that just highlights, again, we talked about earlier, when you have those constant pass attempts, these battles that we're seeing right here, you get no speed on that entry. Neither skaters are accelerating that corner, no crossovers at all. That's just speed dumping as you go into the turn. You can't have that if you want to get a fast time, and that's really just killed the race. There's another look at Anderson going down there.
So Underman is through to the heats. That will be the men's 500-meter heats. Are coming up this afternoon, actually. So Underman is through. And heat number 8. Get another look at Dennis Orrs, the Turkish Anatolian pars. Kyle Ross Waddell of the British Royals, Liam O'Brien of the Irish Wolfhounds, Purtapat Changmai of the Thai Elephants, and Eklavya Jagal of the Indian Maharajas.
Go to the start. Ready.
And Orrs quickest off the line. Could go toe-to-toe with some of the top skaters in the distance last season. Follower in the draft. Now he's the seeded skater, so he's the man to chase.
Well, these Anatolian pars, they have tremendous speed. Really impressive that how deep the team is with their top-end speed. A lot of skaters that can compete in these 500-meter events.
Ross Waddell, perhaps one last chance.
Oh! And Chiang Mai down on that back straight.
And Orrs leads wire to wire. And the times were in the 42s, so we might see a time bumped out there. One of the, I wouldn't say it was one of the quicker heats, but it wasn't the slowest.
Kyle Ross Waddell will be watching attentively to see if that time stands up. With what we have, 5 races remaining, 6 races remaining, yeah.
I'm just waiting for that time. I think it is, yeah, it's actually one of the quicker ones in the end, 41.953 for Ross Waddell, and so that bumps out Tobias Wolf. There's one time in the 42s, which is Yasapati, and then there's still one time in the 43s, which is Lucas Wareham. So still 5 heats to go, so the movement is not done yet. But Orrs goes through. Heat number 9, Tracy of the Royal, Lucas McDonald of the New Zealand Ice Kias, Jonas Hammermuller of the Wolves, Etienne Bastier of the Roosters, and Matsuzu Shuta of the Japanese Ninjas. There's McDonald. The Lone Ice Kia. The last I heard, Leah Mead, teammate on the women's side, was in a walking boot recovering from an injury, and we have not seen Joshua Kai yet. There is Matsuzu. A lot of racing in the relays last weekend for the 25-year-old
Go
from
to the start.
living now in Osaka.
Ready.
And it is Tracy through the corner first out of position 1.
1+6 advancements in the 500 meters. Number 16 representing the British Royals. Out in front is Niall Tracy. 127 representing.
Niall Tracy on that speed track. Watch that wide exit, almost touching the mats there. Lucas McDonald tucked in a second right now, under pressure from Matsuzu.
Matsuzu looks like he lost his balance just a little bit, but he's right back up. Taking a look up the inside is not there, and that cost him a bit of room there. And Tracy and McDonald go 1-2 in a 41.87 unofficially for McDonald, that would be one of the quickest second times.
Well, Matsuzi was looking for that inside pass there. He realized he didn't have it. It was going to be a late entry. He had the wherewithal to back out of that pass, but as you said, Gavin, it really killed his speed. That was kind of his one shot late in the race to make a move for second. That time now looking quite good to possibly advance through.
Some of the rankings in the last few heats are really tight, so that could lead to fast racing, but we will see. McDonald, you love the emotion. He really liked it.
Yeah, love it when you wear your heart on your sleeve.
So he will wait, like in the 41.86. So he will watch and wait. I believe that would have forced out Bozdag, Wareham, Lucas Wareham's time. Heat number 10, Sean McAnuff. And the seated skater, the headliner of this one, Kay Huisman of the Dutch Lions. I believe it's the first Dutch Lion we've seen today.
It is.
Danilo Fedorenko, the Ukrainian Wildcats. I believe that may actually be Sean McAnuff's brother, who himself was a skater. Raphael Moret, the Swiss Ibex, and Munk Erdanbeleg of the Mongolian Saigaz.
Go to the start. Ready.
Start for Huisman to jump into first overall right now.
Fantastic acceleration from Kai Huisman right now.
Dutch Lions, Kai Huisman, 145.
Opening up a huge lead here on Sean McAnuff.
McAnuff under pressure from Danilo Fedorenko. They try to make a move. It's not there just yet, but Huisman off and away. And Fedorenko goes down. And Huisman just again showing that depth in the Dutch program. Not a guy we've seen too often, but 42.8 for McAnuff.
Kai Huisman putting up the fastest time we've seen in this preliminary round.
There is Moret. He did up to third in the heat with a 44.347. Huisman just showing. I mean, it's almost deceptive. He's ranked 51st. He was starting at a position 2, but that's just really because we don't always see him.
Yeah, he doesn't have a high rank yet in the world rank, or in the world tour rather, so he's building that rank as we go week by week. We'll see him moving up in positioning. He's been skating very well this start to the world tour here in Montreal.
42.791 for McAnuff. Not enough to go through, so we are seeing times go by the wayside. Heat number 11 is our first look of the weekend at Brendan Corey. Racing Ruse, Radek Fajkus of the Czech Ice Spiders, Daniel Abog of the Uzbek Cobras, and Ivan Danchev of the Bulgarian Kings, and Luka Jasic of the Serbian Owls.
Go to the start. Ready.
It is Corey in front.
Number 20 represents the Australian Racing Ruse, Brendan Corey. Heat 6, Czechia Ice Spiders of Radek Fajkus. Number 153 representing the
Watch Danilo Ibog here from third into second. Very smooth pass.
This is going to be an interesting one. Abog certainly experienced as Fajkus goes down. Corey best results last weekend in the 1,000 and the 1,500, but he's back here in the preliminaries, and he's holding off Abog for now. And he will carry it all the way over the line. 41.94 for Abog in second, but good result. A tricky field for Corey with Abog, who another one who's deceptive with his 84th world ranking, but that's only really because we saw him at the World Championships last year, not at all on World Tour last season.
Well, as we watch the highlights here of Dinil Ibog, as he makes the move into second, he tucks him behind Corey. He kind of shuts it down a little bit. He looks to go a little bit more defensive from second. He's no longer looking for that pass for the lead. I think you could tell it was a fast race, and he's starting to bank on that time qualification rather than the lead position.
Time in second, a 41.931, which is one of our times at the moment. Just behind Lucas McDonald, Kyle Ross-Waddell also in the picture. 6.29. It might be Collins.
Collins is on the bubble with
41.989.
Yeah, a couple in that 41.9 range though.
Very tight. Heat number 12. That's Arenas Berzins. The Latvian Golden Stars, Rostislav Leontenko of the Ukrainian Wildcats, Peter Murphy of the Luxembourg Dukes, Asim Gudov, Bulgarian Kings, and Denis Aida-Petyan, second Uzbek Cobra. Not mistaken, the Uzbek Cobras got their name from the Central Asian Cobra, which lives in the country, one of a number of venomous snakes in Uzbekistan. They are incredibly venomous. One bite is potent enough to kill 40 adult humans. 40? Fortunately, though, it avoids humans and prefers to escape if approached. Just like me. Last patches, of course, the 500 meters. That finish line takes a bit of a beating, especially with so many heats. It's a good color scheme. You don't often see that light blue, but the Uzbekistan flag has the light blue and light green with the red and white mixed there. It's a sharp look. Peter Murphy out of the world's only Grand Duchy. It'll get a blast to the fire extinguisher, but you can't see that on your screen right now. Is Murphy. One thing I have discovered is there is a Benelux Cup, which of course the Benelux region, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, and it's a short track competition. But Murphy now living in Heerenveen, trains out of there.
Go to the start. Ready.
Good start out of position 4. Asim Gudov all the way up at the second, and he didn't quite make it around the corner. That was close to the last block.
Contact was the initial contact occurred before the exit of the corner, and then the fall did happen after the turn, but the contact was already there. As we get the replay, watching Gurov.
There's the bump, and yet just off balance and didn't quite make it through the corner, so he brought back. It was a good start for Gudov, though.
Well, if you can jump from 4th to 2nd off a start, that's just phenomenal. That cuts down a lot of the work you have to do in the race.
Gudov just turned 19 back in August. His dad, Martin, is his coach out of Sofia. Sofia's hosted international events before, World Championships, World Cups. another city I've heard good things about. Still haven't been there yet.
Go to the start. Ready.
And this time, Gudov up into third and then quickly loses, or almost loses that spot. Eva Petian was sniffing around, couldn't get through, but on the front it is Berzins, the Latvian veteran.
Almost felt that Durov that time as he came around the outside, kind of held back and chose to tuck into that third position.
He's trying to close that gap on Rostislav Leontenko. Leading, trying to go wire to wire again, showing the benefits of position one. Come around and take it. Leontenko losing his balance. Eva Petian getting up into third. The 42.62 unofficially. I don't think, yeah, we're all looking for the low 49s, aren't we?
Yeah. Two heats remaining.
It's a lot of nervous watching for some of these guys when it's 14 heats. Think back all the way to Koblenz, Verkock going early. Next heat could be interesting. Next couple heats, couple guys very closely ranked who may just push themselves faster and faster. There is just Berzins going through, as you can see. Heat number 13, Łukasz Kuczynski of the Polish Hussars, Marcus Howard of the USA Eagles, Mika Klevstuen of the Norwegian Vikings, Maxim Maximov, another Bulgarian king, Jakub Karabin of the Slovakian Ice Deer.
Go to the start. Ready.
And Howard almost jumped up into first off the start, but it is Kuczynski who rounded the corner in the lead, but it really is those two right now.
Maximov and Klevstuen battling it out in third.
Will Howard have a moment? Going up the outside.
It's the Polish Hussar out in front, followed in second by USA Eagles.
Howard trying to build speed out wide, looking for an opening. Bit of a deep track entry there from Kuczynski.
Now he's closing it up, taking a look. Kuczynski just able to hold it off. Howard pushed, reached, just came up short. Take a look at those times. They were far and away ahead of the other trio there.
There's that early battle for third position.
And Howard's time, 42.289, will not be enough to move on. Stewin did get up into third. Of course, that's all academic. But positioning, important for repechage and all that, could come into play as well. As you see, just Kuczynski going through, so Łukasz Kuczynski into the heats this afternoon. One final heat to come in the men's 500 meters before we get a second ice resurfacing break of the day, and after 14 heats, it could sure use it, I'm sure. Lujan Shuo is the seeded skater, but Ben Jung right behind him, 45 and 46 ranked. Lin Chunqie of the Chinese Taipei Blue Magpies, Chanlachart Tapram of the Thai Elephants, and some guy named Rim Jong-un deciding to give the 500 meters a go this weekend.
Well, we haven't seen Rim in a 500 meter yet. Can it be interesting to see how quick he is off that start line?
Go to the start. Ready.
Perhaps a tacit admission that the 17-year-old is now gunning for the Crystal Globe.
Well, if you are going for that Crystal Globe, you really do have to be able to compete in all distances, but Jung going so wide on that corner really opened the door. Shoulder to shoulder is Liu and Rim, but Rim comes out ahead.
And now here is Jung up into second, taking a look. Let's see what kind of sprint chops this young man has. He's able to build up a bit of a gap, but he's also pulling skaters with him. And Liu trying to get back up into second. Is he going to try to make a pass on Jung? It is Rim Jong-un making it look just fine for him. A 42.29, not the quickest of times. So the second place time won't be one of the ones that moves on, but head to head, Rim Jong-un does what he has to do.
Yeah, a lot of passing happening early in that race was kind of holding the pace back. But Rim Jong-un doing what he needed to do all the way from the outside. This was the exit. Jung just going far too wide. Really opens the door for both skaters to pass by. That's what we call a bit of a reverse pass.
I envision someone turning around and going back the other way when you say reverse pass.
Well, to be correct, usually the reverse pass is when you set up to make a pass and then somebody passes you.
You jerk is what I would hear. I was doing that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a pass.
You stole my idea. And there you have it. So Rim looking just fine in his first 500 meters on World Tour. What story might that young man write this weekend? I think that just covers the preamble. We'll see what's still to come when we get to the meat of the event. And we're going to head into another break as you see who will move on to the heats in the men's 500 meters. Husman, the fastest time. And they are going to resume at 11:17 local time. That is in about 14 minutes from now. So catch a break. See you soon.
So we have a couple kiosks and food that you can get while you're here. We have Subway on the west side during the entire weekend, and then also multiple different boutiques and kiosks on the west side as well that are going to be open for you all the weekends. J'aimerais aussi prendre l'opportunité de remercier nos partenaires et nos commanditaires. I would like to take the chance to thank our partners. Un grand merci à l'ISU, International Skating Union, à Pelio, China National Sports Group, CNSG, BBC Patinage de Vitesse Canada, PVQ Patinage de Vitesse Québec, le gouvernement du Canada, gouvernement du Québec, Tourisme Montréal, la Ville de Montréal, Comité olympique canadien, Bell, Intact Assurance, IGA, Plaza Montréal, Universel Montréal, Parc olympique, Aéroport de Montréal, Yule et Nagano Skate, Café William, Association régionale de patinage de vitesse, Matrec, et finalement Subway, Das Food Truck et Moosehead. Un grand merci à tous nos partenaires. Big thank you to all of our partners that make this event possible. We'll see you in 12 minutes at 11:17 a.m.
人为什么会向往自然？不是因为自然有答案，是因为自然能让人放下问题。天性自然，自然而然。与博结合，一起奔赴自然。
the lights back up here in Montreal. One final block of morning racing. That is the women's 1,000-meter heats and the men's 1,500-meter heat. Special guest joining us for this last block of racing, Michael Gilday, longtime competitor for Canada. You might remember the name. Couple Olympics. Now you're on our side of things, working for CBC, the Canadian public broadcaster here in Canada. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here. Should correct you though, only one Olympics.
Right.
2014. Don't want to get
2014. I remember you in the run-up to 2010. So
that's right.
My mind went there too. But
close there. Yeah, close, but no home Olympics.
9 years on the international stage of short track speed skating, so a lot of experience and depth there.
What kind of change have you noticed over the years of now just following it from the broadcast side of things?
I think just the top speed of skaters, it's really increased, and the ability to hold that speed too. So it's not just like that the speed has gone up a few tenths of a second by a lap, but it's that ability to maintain that in all distances as well, not just in the 500, but like think of last week, we saw Rim finishing off the 1,500. You know, what is it, 8.5,
8.3 got down to.
So just smoking fast.
1,000-meter heats for women coming up. There are 8 of them, top 2 from each race, and maximum 2 fastest third-place skaters going into the quarterfinals. That will go on Saturday. And now we're seeing some of the big names. Corin Stoddart, Nakashima Midei, Camila Cellier, Alina Ajgalieva, and Lam Ching Yan in heat number 1.
Yeah, you think back, Michael, to our younger days in 2004. We'll go back 20 years, but 8.3 would be a great lap if you just went on a single lap effort, let alone doing it at the end of a 1,500 meter with the fatigue in your legs.
And the number of skaters that can do that too. I think that's what's kind of really neat about the sport from a spectator point of view, is the depth and the competition. The level is so high now, a quarterfinal, even these heats we're going to see, like there's going to be some heats here where you really have to be on your A game, even if you're considered a top or you're a high-ranked skater. So interesting to watch, especially as Olympic qualification, right? This is points on the line.
Go to the start. Ready.
Stoddart, one of the ones who looked so good last weekend, really the model of consistency.
We have number 3 representing.
She walked away with, was it 3 podium finishes?
There was at least 2. There were a couple of bronze medals. There was the look of bronze is nice, but I was winning last season, so you have to feel that a win is coming at some point this year for Stoddart as well.
Well, maybe that confidence showing here too, going to the front right off the start. Doesn't look like she wants to take any chances. Just set the pace here, control the race on her speed. She's pointing at something down there.
Interesting. That was quite the finger wag too.
Calling out the track stewards for something.
She is all business when she's on the ice. And so when Corin Stoddart's coming at you, finger pointed, I hope they take her seriously.
Well, Nakashima here back in 3rd position. Looks like she's setting up to build up a pass attempt here, but Corin Stoddart now driving the pace down.
I'm thinking about that, Tyler. It's a bit of a dangerous place for Cellier here in 2nd place. She sort of looks like she's invested in just staying in that 2nd place, but you're only one qualifier there, so there's a slides by.
And it is Nakashima going up into 2nd.
Sometimes it's that mental headspace of thinking, oh, I can't keep up. Oh, Corin Stoddart's calling out the lap count is wrong right now. That's what she's looking at.
Interesting.
If we're looking at the time, though, it was a 1:32. I think the lap count would have been right. That was not a 1:21 race if it was a lap too many.
Maybe just the number there.
Or someone may be flipping it too soon, because I know the lap counter down on that corner so often, it's almost the second they go around that it's down. And she was already over the line and seeing 1, so I can see how maybe she was wondering what was going on.
Well, going back to that previous thought there of Cellier sitting in 2nd, and maybe it's that mentality of, can I really compete with Stoddart if I try to make a pass? Maybe I'm just better in 2nd.
Yeah, and it's a tough spot, right? It's like, do you want to attack? Do you have to go off one of the top ranked skaters, 3rd last year in the world? Or do you just sit in? I think honestly, you want to be aggressive. I think you want to try and make a move. If you have the legs, if you're feeling good, why not move up, be aggressive. Take no prisoners sort of attitude. I think that's important in short track.
Well, you get that lead position. Perhaps she makes a move earlier on Stoddard, then Stoddard fights back, and then she can defend second, but later in the race, right? And then maybe that's just long enough to hold off Nakashima.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to that confidence, right? It's a confidence to say, I'm good enough today to challenge anyone in the world. It doesn't matter, and that's something that you don't, it's inherent in some people, but for others it takes a little bit longer to develop.
132.392 is Cellier's time in third. We'll see how that holds up. Heat number 2 on the ice. First look at the weekend of Cassandra Velzebor, Gung Lee, Nodo Hee, Sarah Lutza-Baksky, and Aurélie Levesque. As Michael mentioned, these heats, even the heat is a pretty challenging race.
Go to the start. Ready.
Now, Tyler and I talk so often about the growing depth of the sport, particularly on the women's side, where that Crystal Globe went down to the wire last year. But this is just the beginning of the day, and we already have some top competitors in the same heat together.
And I'm actually a little bit surprised that this pace isn't a little bit faster in this one, given the depth. I thought maybe someone would want to take it out a bit harder, although it's a bit faster than the last race. Of course, was that qualification of that third place, those fastest time, so maybe somebody wanting to take it out, not give up too much time earlier in the race.
So we see Cassandra Velzebor reacting, wanting to be in front, right? She moved back to that second position behind Nodo Hee, but responding quickly to be in the lead of this race.
Bit of a squeeze there between third and fifth around that corner. That's lost a lot of speed for Levesque at the back there, but still Cassandra Velzebor and Nodo Hee closing the gap a little bit behind her.
Interesting to see Nodo Hee leaving that bit of a gap there. It looks like maybe she is working hard to close it, so an opportunity here for Gong Li if she can set something up.
And Baksky also there, right in the mix, but it is Cassandra Velzebor at the front, and it looks like we'll be no holding them off to pick up second.
Sandra Velzebor, Nodo Hee, unofficially moving on to the quarterfinal round.
Well, that's one thing that wasn't occurring there, but we're seeing more often in short track is skaters intentionally creating gaps to create space for themselves. I don't know, I didn't have that awareness back in the day. I always wanted to be right on the back of the skater in front of me. I felt better in the draft, but if you don't create that space for you to set up a pass, it becomes all the more difficult. So sometimes you're trying to read the race. Are they creating a gap to some separation to look for a move, or are they just falling off the back? And sometimes it's hard to read it.
Well, it's a little counterintuitive, right? Like, you don't want to leave that gap and make someone think, oh, here's an opportunity for me to take and to squeeze in there. But you do need that space. You can use that space, the bit of the slingshot effect from the draft to accelerate through a pass if you want. But yeah, like you said, Tyler, it really requires being smart with your track pattern so that you're controlling both what's happening behind you and in front of you. So a little bit of a double challenge there.
Yeah, you create this opportunity for yourself to make a move, but you open an opportunity for the skater following you to have space to pass into.
132.124 for Gong Li. That is the faster of the two third place times. So clean racing through a lot of today. And so remember, it's a maximum 2 fastest third place times. Heat number 3, Danae Blais, Hidai Ami, Dita Van Oorschot, Petra Vankova, and Olga Tikhonova.
Go to the start. Ready.
Dans cette troisième vague, nous avons
And it is Blais, Van Oorschot off the front.
Number 25,
It's interesting to see Blais here really looking left, looking right, paying close attention to what's going on behind her, trying to be very aware. So obviously she wants to be in the front, but in doing that, she wants to control her speed and control the skaters behind her. There's a little bit of a push from behind here.
Hidai trying to get up into second. That's cost her. She now slips into fourth. Van Oorschot holding her off.
So difficult on a skater. You make that pass attempt, you get in a good position, you take a bump, and then all that effort is for naught when you drop all the way back to fourth.
Now another opportunity. There, down goes Van Oorschot. Vancouver make the move. The door now opens for Hidai in second.
And a nice job there by Mihai to take advantage of that, to notice the door was open, but walk through it as well.
That's allowed Blay very comfortable margin off in front. It is a real battle for second between the remaining three skaters, but of course you see the yellow review dot on your screen. That was Vancouver going in on Hidai Van Oorschot. So we'll see what happens there, but Danae Blay, comfortable for her.
That's the type of race she wants for her first race of the day. She goes out in front, controls the race, gets a little bit of, you know, I guess stimulation, having to pay attention a bit, gets her head in the game for, you know, some of her racing coming up in the rest of qualification, but doesn't have to do a whole lot, doesn't have to expend a lot of energy. It's a long weekend of racing. We're starting on Thursday now, an extra day of racing, and it all adds up. So it's a good start for Blake.
We'll watch to see the replay here. That inside move from Vancouver on Oorschot. Felt like a little bit maybe of a late entry, but potential lane change here.
Yeah, crossing inside that blue line on the inside. I think she had to come from the inside to the outside to get around that first block marker.
So we're looking at failure to give weight, possibly. I think Oorschot was still in the lead, had control at that point of the race as they entered that corner.
So that would be a possible advancement. Would be our first of the day if that is done. We were talking about the extra worries about penalties after one weekend in the books. Now those Olympic qualifying spots become all the more precarious if you're getting penalties.
Well, the penalty's so costly, right? It bumps you down to the bottom of that round in terms of the points. So you want to be careful, but you have to put it on the line. It adds a lot of points to move up higher into the those World Cup or World Tour rounds. So everybody going for it is get a good overhead look gives you a good idea of how much movement there was there side to side.
There was no blue line when you guys skated about, so I think Tyler's pointed that out before.
No, you are correct. That's something that's relatively new just in the past couple of seasons.
Just trying to age us there, Gavin?
I'm the oldest guy here, so welcome to my world. And to the ice we go.
Final decision, penalty number 54 from Czechia. Advancement for number 37 from the Netherlands.
There you go, and it is Vancouver with the penalty. Van Oorschot does get advanced. Lane change inside to out right there.
And as we referenced, you can just see that change relative to that blue line going down the straightaway that's aligned with the finishing block and the first block of the turn.
And so there's one advancement. That's one of the third place times. That will not matter. So there's really maximum one now with still a few heats to go, but Hidai Emi moves through in second. Heat number 4, Kim Gi Lee. Zhang Chutong. Chloe Olivier, Sojin Kim, Tanucha Chatai Song.
Ready.
Fourth heat, we have 5 skaters wearing the number 6, representing the Korean White Tigers.
Way deep there on the straightaway to make the pass on Kim.
La Française Chloé Olivier. Wearing the number 50, representing the Australian racing crews, Kim Eugene. Representing the Thai Elephants is Tanuchaga Chateso.
over last weekend in both the 1500 and the 1000.
Again, a bit of awareness there from Kim Ho-jun to just recognize the loss of pace due to the pass on the inside. Now she's got to try and sink her teeth into these top two skaters if she wants to close that gap.
With 2.5 laps to go. Kim
Gili comfortably in front right now, inside 2 to go. It's all spread out amid the top 4. Zhang trying to close it up. With 1 to go, she will get up right behind Kim, but I think Kim Gili looking very much in cruise control right now, comfortably over.
Unofficially moving on, Kim Gili.
Well, Chloe Olivier pressing at the finish for that 3rd position, but not quite going to get it. That time's a little bit off the mark from the previous races.
Again, you're seeing those top-ranked skaters just not taking too much chance, going to the front early on. You don't need to get caught up in any traffic in the back, risk any injury or fall. Obviously a strong strategy when you have the legs. Not everybody does, so good to take advantage of it if you've got that fitness.
Yeah, Gavin, you kind of identified earlier, Zhang Chuchang going way inside there. Maybe it was going to put a little bit of a challenge on Kim Gili if she came back into the track, but Kim Gili kind of identifying that I'm not going to take the risk of a contact or a fall here early in the race. I know my strength against this field. I'll just wait, I'll bide my time, and I'll make a move later.
And you see the Australian Kim's time not good enough in 3rd place. Heat number 5 on the ice, and it just keeps going. Jaemin Jong now. Florence Brunel, our first look at her for the weekend. Valentina Askic, Croatian Dalmatians. Maya Dora Somodi and Lisa Eckstein, who were earlier in the preliminaries. But there is a first look at Jay.
Well, I wonder in this race if Valentina Askic is kind of looking at the likes of Florence Brunel and Choi Min Jong and thinking, okay, I'm going to have to push the pace. I got a tough field here. Maybe there's still that 1 time remaining. If I can get the speed going here, we can maybe finish with a time that will qualify me through.
Go to the start. Ready.
And then, of course, there's always the chance, if I'm in the front and incidents happen, the possibility of advancement. So how do you guys keep so many things balanced in your head at the same time? There could be this or this or this.
Well, it's just really adapting on the fly of what the situation is, and it's really hard. You do come into the race with a strategy, but it can change so quickly that you have to be reactive, and no one strategy is going to be the solution. It's never going to go exactly how you envision. You can try to control it as much as you want, but in short track, it's never all within your control. And Askic here pushing the pace a little bit. We are sub 10-second lap times, which would put them on pace for the fastest time.
As you predicted.
I had a feeling. Here comes Choi Min Jong, Florence Brunel following suit, going around the outside.
And now is the challenging time for Askic. She's invested in that strategy of doing a time, but now she's got to hold on. It costs her extra energy to be in the front to push that pace, but can she keep that 3rd position?
And somebody, in fact, does get up into 3rd. So Askic fading a little bit. She now has Eckstein trying to close it up, but Jaemin Jong, Florence Brunel comfortably in front. Is Somodi gonna perhaps upset the apple cart a little bit, taking a look at the bell? Askic battling back though.
You can see some fatigue from Askic, how hard she's working back there in 4th position.
And it will be the top 2 seeded skaters.
Those 2 unofficially moving on.
Also looking quite comfortable to move on. The time there, 1:31.75 for Askic.
Got to appreciate the effort though from Askic. She knew it was going to be a challenging race to get top 2 in, and you kind of have to go with the strategy that's going to give you the best opportunity. Somodi though able to capitalize on that time right now.
And there's absolutely risk to that, right? You kind of sometimes you put yourself out there and you have to because that's what you need to do, but it doesn't pan out, and you got to be brave though, especially when you're in a field. You know, Trey Minjong, her result sheet speaks for herself. Florence Brunel, multiple world junior champion and really rising star on the circuit. You gotta do what you can do to make it work, and you know, kudos to Asic for trying.
You gotta try something.
Michael, we were talking to you beforehand, and you said immediately you knew your one World Tour gold medal. How much do you remember of that?
It was a 1500 meter in Quebec City. Sometimes I like to discount myself a little bit there because there weren't any Koreans in the field that weekend, but it
still counts.
You don't have to bring it up.
Yeah. Well, you know, I just like to be honest, right? You gotta be honest. You gotta be a little bit modest. But no, it was a really great weekend for me. It was kind of cool on home ice, if you will, and great crowd, educated crowd always in Quebec. Folks know their short track, and it was a really exciting weekend.
Back for weekend number 2, Courtney Sauro, after really opening a lot of eyes last weekend. She's very much back. Gloria Yoriati, Watanabe Aoi, Eunice Lee, and Rebecca Silitse Nemet.
Ready.
I just found it interesting because you remembered the win. The other ones, you can't remember the other medals though. It's just the gold medal that you remember.
Well, I can remember a couple, but yeah.
Wearing number 14, our current
So we've been talking a lot about Courtney Sauro coming off of last weekend. Michael, what kind of stood out to you having watched the World Tour from Courtney?
You know, the thing actually that stood out the most to me was something that she's been known for, but that's that grit at the end of the race. So in the 1500 meter last weekend, she just was, you know, you could see her fatiguing, but Courtney has this ability to scrape the bottom of the barrel at the end of a race, and that's, you know, you have to be fit to be able to do that, but I really think she has that racer's instinct, and that's really a weapon, right? It's a weapon that she can deploy that not everybody has, and that just makes her so dangerous.
Watching Gloria Yoriati at the back, she comes in as the second seeded skater in this heat, now having to work her way through.
Well, that's just, some skaters have that ability, right? Just to pull through, dig deeper, having that grit at the finish, and it's just something that's so hard to kind of, you know, categorize in a skater, is just that will to win.
And at the bell, Yoriati did get up in the second, but almost lost her balance, and that opened the door for Watanabe. But Sauro, serene at the front.
Well, it'll be interesting to go back if we get another look at that pass of Gloria Yoriati. She made that inside move, but as we talked about, when your legs are heavy, you're fatigued, you make an inside pass, it's so hard to hold it on the exit of the next turn. That kind of opens up the door for the skater that you've just made a move on to counter you.
Sauro, we'd noted, going 9 for 9 at the Canadian Nationals coming last week. I'm still not sure if she's actually lost a race so far this season.
Would have been the 500.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's a pretty good stat otherwise.
It is.
So here's a look. Here's the inside pass from Yoriati. And then the quick response from Watanabe there, back up the inside.
And you saw the slip there. I mean, that could be the ice conditions, but like Tyler said too, it could be just that lactic starting to accumulate the legs. You want to hold on so tight that sometimes you turn a little bit more than the ice is capable of holding. And that little bit of slip, it costs you speed. It's so hard to get that back towards the end of a race too, especially in 1,000 meters. Maybe, well, I don't know, maybe the toughest race in terms of lactic, just because that speed's higher throughout the entire race.
And that's one of the hardest things to get across sometimes is you're watching the skaters that, oh, just push a little bit more, go a little bit harder. Why are you letting that gap open up? But you just, it's to get across how heavy your legs are feeling, how much that they're burning in that moment. It's hard to feel as a viewer sometimes what the skaters are actually going through.
Look at Hannah Desmet. Heat number 7, 2 more to go. Also here, Michelle Velzebor, Elena Sedegina, Annabelle Green, Nicola Mazur. After this, we do roll right into the men's 1,500 meter heats.
Ready.
Interesting one here with the back 3 coming through the preliminary rounds.
5 patineurs en piste, portant le 4 de la Belgique, Hannah Desmet. Wearing number 11.
Saragina and Green were in the same heat in the preliminary round.
You see a little bit of conflicting strategies here. It looks like multiple skaters, Missouri and Green especially, probably had in their head that they wanted to be close to the front. But now with Michelle Belzebor there in the lead, they've settled in, maybe giving up on that early strategy of being right on the front of the pack.
That's that adapting on the fly, right? Everyone else is going for something similar there. You're battling out. You can't make too many moves or blow your legs up early.
And not with a skater like Hannah DeSmet sitting in the wings and too slow. She feels it's too slow, or maybe it's the perfect time to make a pass because it is so slow. Very comfortable move for the Belgian.
We'll see if she just drops the hammer and pulls off the front. Belzebor, of course, we know.
Well, Saragina, we haven't had a lot of opportunities to watch her. She did show she had some finishing strength in the preliminary round here today in the 1,000. So we'll see if she can challenge Michelle Belzebor here. But the gap is opening.
It's the two from the Low Countries, Desmet and Belzebor, and then Saragina try to hang on for third. Missouri not going to close up too much, but it is Desmet and Belzebor going 1-2 as expected.
Michelle Belzebor is actually a skater last week, and who I feel has really kind of stepped up her game from last season, getting into that 8 final, 500 meter, showing that she's in good shape right now.
And one of the best starters in the world too, just like her sister, but at 500 meters, both of them extreme threats, we'll say, to everyone else. And just going back here as we get a look at the replays in that last race, we talked about the lactic acid and sort of the challenges in 1,000 meters. If you take a look at Saragina, it sort of looked like she wanted to hold on. She had a little slip. She got back on her heels just a touch, and that was that point right there where she lost a little bit of speed, and you knew that the lactic was building, and that was where the gap started to go out. And so it's so important, if you're not in that maybe that really elite category where you can afford a mistake or two like that, you know, you got to be clean all the way through and smart all the way with your energy so that you can be fast at the finish. Fast finish in all distances matters so much.
Yeah, she kind of came up on Michelle Belzebor there, lost her speed, but then at that point in the race, you're fatiguing. It's so hard to re-accelerate again.
One more to go. And it has the defending Crystal Globe winner from the USA Eagles.
Well, 1 year ago this time, I was just going to mention Courtney Searle was up here. Now she's out on the World Tour winning, and now we got Michael Gilday here up in the booth 1 year later.
Where are we going with this, Tyler? I think I see where you're going, and I don't think it's happening.
Tyler's already spoken about it.
These are some long odds here.
Go to the start. Ready.
Santos, Griswold, Confortola, Topolska, Zung, and Yermak.
On to the last heat in the women's 1,000
Last heat
meters.
here. See that little bit of a faster start. The skaters will know all of the times in front of them. This one does have 3 skaters with a good chance to mix it up, and that's where you're seeing these early passes too.
Second position in this race.
Well, Zhang, you say kind of slowed the pace down a little bit there. It did start off a little bit quicker, but now we're dropping down to mid-10s, 10-6 now, but Kristen Santos Griswold responded back to the front.
Santos Griswold, A final and a B final last weekend.
Kristen Santos Griswold is out in front of this race.
Polska gets by 2 into second.
Nice job to find a little bit of space there.
So Confortola now has some work to do to close it back up. And Topolska for the lead. Boost to confidence after a good weekend from her a week ago.
Tight corner there, Confortola, Kristen Santos.
It is Topolska still leading the way. Kristen Santos Griswold.
Topolska lost some speed there, though. It's going to allow an opportunity for Confortola.
I think she gets it. It's close. Who had the reach?
Well, I think Confortola got it there. You just saw Topolska kind of slowed down and lost some speed heading to that last corner, and that just made an opportunity for Confortola to battle back.
And a perfectly timed shoot at the line too. I think might have just sped her foot by. Maybe the body wasn't by, but able to swing the leg past. We'll have to take a look at the photo there. We saw that little bit of contact. Confortula and Kristen Santos Griswold was cleared by the video referees, so we'll be looking at that too many times. This was a nice move. That was a nice move to find a little bit of space, almost create a little bit of space too. You can't obviously do any push from behind, but here we get a look at that pass attempt by Confortila, and a nice job, I'd say, by Kristen Santos to not squeeze that too hard. She didn't lose much speed, maybe even came out with it with a little extra speed, and then used that. And I think there's a confidence builder for Kristen Santos Griswold. An A final, B final last week isn't really a bad weekend, but for her with the #1 on her helmet and the consistency she's had, maybe not quite what she's used to. So building through the Olympic season.
Well, to get faced with some adversity within a race, even if it's earlier on, and then having to make some moves to close it off.
Topolska by 2,000ths of a
Really?
second.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe she just got the skate ahead a little after the line there.
We might have got ahead of ourselves there, but it really...
Nice job by Topolska to hold on.
Wow.
Grit it out.
Yeah. Well, coming off that weekend, making that A final in the 1500 for Topolska, you know, building off that, getting some momentum in this start of the season as we head towards the Olympics, that's just huge for her.
And not too many in the way of surprises out of the quarterfinals, or into the quarterfinals rather, and we will now head into the men's 1500 meters. There was the one advancement to Dita Van Oerschatten in the end. Maya Dora Somodi's third place time, the 1:31.737 through. And so the men's 1500 meter heat, 11 races. First skater from each race and up to 11 fastest second place skaters qualify for the quarterfinals. So if there's clean racing, wait, did I say there was 11? Yes, I did. So if everybody skates clean, all the second place skaters go through, but of course, easier said than done. Thomas Natalini, Mika Klavstuen, Oleg Hande, Lucas McDonald, Asen Gudov, Ernestas Cech, Martin Golens.
Go to the start. Ready.
So as far as seedings go in this heat,
On
sort
now
of
to the
Natalini and then a wide gulf
We'll have
to
11
Klavstuen. Natalini ranked 14th and then Klavstuen at
to move on
61st.
to the quarterfinals is 1 plus 11, being the first place skater from each race and up to a maximum of 11 fastest second place skaters will qualify for the quarterfinals. In this first race, we have 7 skaters wearing number 13.
Now this advancement strategy is kind of challenging because it's the 1 plus the time, but there's so many skaters in the field, as we talked about it. It's a lot of effort to kind of push the pace early when you have so many other competitors that are so closely ranked with you. So then it kind of curbs the idea of maybe pulling too much early in the race.
Well, and there's that risk too, right? It's not a simple 2 plus 0. It's that 1 plus 11. So like Gavin was mentioning, if there's an advancement, one of those goes away. So you don't want to rely necessarily on being second. So I'm wondering if that's going to create some more aggression at the end of races, if we're going to see skaters take a little bit more chance maybe to try and move from second to first late in a race, risking it a little bit to make sure that they qualify.
Collins on the front right now. Sunday behind him. Look out for the Azudi kit of Thomas Natalini. He's just being passed now, and Klavstuen not able to hold it.
Looking to wind up on the outside. There's a lot of races already occurring on these tracks. You can catch a rut on that turn, especially where it's all older tracks outside wide.
Still looking at Natalini sitting in 5th right now. Doesn't look too bothered as Cech gets the lead, sort of forces Hyundai out, and now Natalini goes.
That's Ernestas Cech, our current leader.
Well, that's a good bit of reaction by Natalini, recognizing the loss of speed that Hyundai had and the little disruption in the pack, and then just taking advantage of that to calmly move on the outside. And now he can just put his hands on his back, sort of control the gap, control his effort, really make sure that he's conserving for the rest of the day.
Hyundai making some good moves. He had some work to do. He's now up into second. It's a real battle, but as Michael mentioned, Natalini riding off into the sunset. There will be an incident review. It looks like Hyundai does make it up for second, and a real battle for third. Czech and McDonald.
Gritty race there from the Ukrainian athlete. Lost a lot of speed and coming back into 1,500 meters. No small task, showing his fitness there.
Ukrainians doing a lot of their training out in Poland these days.
Now, how hard is it in a race when you're dealt a bad situation, you get bumped back, you're kind of frustrated, and you're like, okay, now I can't give up on this, right? Is that because a challenge sometimes?
Well, it's totally a challenge, but I think one of the bigger challenges too is just remaining calm. If you put a little bit of panic, your technique breaks down, then you're not as efficient, you use more energy. Now you're dying maybe later in the race, so it's as much as it's a physical battle, it's really a mental battle to sort of trust yourself, trust your instincts, but also trust your technique and the ability to get back in that race and make those adjustments.
So what is being looked at, it would be between Czech and Hyundai. There's the reach for 0.03 of a second for third, but what could be looked at is they say it's a possible advancement for Hyundai, but he is already through, so it would just likely then be a penalty at this point.
But he was second, though.
He was second, yeah,
right, automatic advancement,
yeah.
right, to keep the 1+11 situation. But then it also wouldn't remove any second places if he did finish second.
Yeah, we'll just remove his time.
Yeah.
So now we see they're doing some ice repairs on the tracks. I wonder if they were looking at, that's where Cliff Stewart went down in this corner, and that wasn't the track they were just racing on, so maybe kind of doubling back. They got to cycle through all these tracks. You see them doing a rotation, jumping, I think, every 2 tracks over to allow that ice to have longer to freeze.
At this stage, there was a lot of 1,000 meters, and there's a lot of 1,500 meters. It's getting a little bit beat up at this point. To the ice we go.
Final decision, shared responsibility between number 117 from Lithuania and number 51 from Ukraine.
So it is shared responsibility, so that time does come into play if there are advancements later on. So as one goes in, one goes out. Hyundai had to battle back from that to get second.
Oh, a couple big names coming up again here.
I'll say. Stan Desmet, Lin Xiaojun, Daniil Nikolaev, Kwok Chae Fung, Portapat Chiangmai, Simon Bastier, and Jakub Karabin. But yeah, the eyes are drawn to the top 2 names on the list there.
Go to the start. Ready.
Not on the podium last weekend, but he went, I think, the whole season last year on World Tour, not on the podium, but then peaked when it mattered most.
Yeah. And this is going to be interesting with that 1+11 time. You have 2 sort of, higher ranked skaters, maybe not on paper just because of where they've been that last weekend, but certainly 2 very dangerous skaters. How are they going to approach this race? Do they want to put a little bit of speed in case there is an advancement? Are they just going to go for the win? Do they have the confidence to say, you know what, I can win this race outright. I don't care who's in it.
Well, Stan DeSmet and Lin Zhao Jun are both very capable passers. Stan DeSmet, we always often see him making these late last lap charges to snake positions at the line, and Lin Zhao Jun, someone who's just so comfortable within the pack and his ability to pass throughout the race. So it will be interesting to watch these guys as the pace is quite relaxed here. We're still in the 11 seconds, so this is not a challenge for them. It's going to keep the legs a little bit fresher for a bigger sprint at the end.
Neutral athlete
Nikolaev on the front right now. Karabin coming up into fourth.
Here comes Lin Zhao Jun just picking his way through the field. Just worked out beautifully for him to go from 6th to 3rd position on that one turn.
Starting to pick up still about a 10.5-second lap time from DeSmet. Quick check through the legs.
Oh, Lin Zhao Jun taking a bump there. Sometimes that's the downside of being relaxed towards the back of the pack, because that's where a lot more passing and contacts are occurring.
Nikolaev. Yeah, I really like that move. You saw him looking over his shoulder just a lap before. He knows Lin Zhao Jun's back there. So being aggressive and a nice deep track too to control.
That pushes Stan DeSmet out wide. Lin Zhao Jun able to capitalize on that opportunity.
2 to go. And now Lin gets up in the lead. DeSmet has some work to do. And he makes the move into second, and he holds on. That threw Nikolaev off a little bit, so Lin Zhao Jun going to take it ahead of Stan DeSmet. There is one thing being reviewed, but that's between Chiang Mai and Jakub Karabin.
Well, significantly faster in that, or sorry, not faster, slower in that race. So, you know, if there's an advancement, but Tyler talked about at the start, Stan DeSmet with his ability to pass late, and that was a patented Stan DeSmet move, slippery outside to inside, but finding space, making those so often clean. His sister is very good at those too. Maybe runs in the family a little bit.
Well, with Stan, what I find so impressive about it is he's not a small guy out there.
No.
Those gaps are harder to find when you're a bigger skater. You know, Lin Zhao Jun, he's a bit on the smaller side. He can tuck in those little spaces, but Stan DeSmet, he still just is able to find those gaps.
Well, I think he does it partly by leaning a lot, especially when he's going on the inside like that. But you also see him, he skates a little bit higher than some of the other skaters. He almost, you know, stretches out his body vertically, and that allows him to just be a little, you know, take up a little less space, I guess. And here you got to look at it from overhead, jumping from outside to inside. That's his responsibility to make that clean in that entry, or the entry into the corner there, and does a nice job of it. We'll see if it's enough, though.
It's the waiting game. And then how does that feel like when you're the athlete in that position? How hard is that? Oh.
Final decision, penalty number 139, Thailand.
And so it is Chiang Mai with an illegal late pass. Doesn't affect the top 2 positions. Sorry, you were saying, Tyler.
Well, just saying, when you're the skater on the bubble there, well, this is where that Lin got pushed out a little bit early in the race, but stayed calm. Just saying that, you know, you're now sitting in second for Stan, and just it's kind of out of your control. There's not really much you can do, but
well, yeah, and I mean, with it being slower than the first heat, so now he's going to be sitting, and essentially what he's going to be doing is just watching and hoping that the next race is going to be slower than his, right? So it bumps it up there, and it sort of pads that in case there is an advancement.
Heat number 3, Stephen Dubois, Stanek Sepal, Felix Pichon, Frederick Pedersen, Su Junpeng, Munk Erdenbelag, and Luka Jasic.
Go to the start. Ready.
Talking a bit with Frederick Pedersen yesterday. A lot of these guys are around the same age, just coming out of juniors. They get some funding, but there's relying on personal sponsorships, out of pocket, the bank of mom and dad. We're going to train out in Norway, and so you know, the long trackers, particularly the long distance long trackers, gets a lot of the attention in Norway, but they are trying to change that.
Well, it's good to see that they have a full team here too, so they're also in the relay, but that means that they've got training partners, that they're working together and trying to build something. Short track, it's always good for it to grow as a sport worldwide.
Hedvig Hilda, who was the lone entrant on the women's side last week, she was in a crash. There was some little bit of a blemish on the eye because she got a blade right up there, and there were some worries about concussion, so I don't think she'll be out this weekend.
Well, just a lot of battling going on throughout this race right now. Everyone jockeying for position, trying to be near those top 2 spots. Stephen Dubois just lingers in position 6 here.
And that's why you're seeing that jockeying. I think a lot of the skaters queuing off. They know he's sitting back there. They know he's around. It's just when is he going to strike?
And it's Pigeon at the front. Already with a win today.
Yeah, Pigeon's positioned very well, but the time has been, it's not too far off, but it hasn't been blistering, so they'll need to pick up the pace if they want to get a very safe time here as Stephen Dubois now starts to wind it up.
There's a lot of traffic in front of him, but the doors open a little bit. Still a long way to go around the outside though, but now he makes it stick.
Nice job by Stephen Dubois to do that. He wanted to make that pass as quick as possible because he was going around 5 skaters. If someone falls on the inside of him there, you know, he can get taken out. So you want to be aggressive, you want to make it happen fast, and now he's showing the speed that he picked up.
This will be a good result for Luka Jasic. He's the lowest seeded skater in this distance, but now he's just trying to hang on. Pigeon's going to make it close. It's Dubois in the front, and Jasic will hang on. And he loves it.
Very happy.
I love to see the energy, the celebration there. That ends up being our quickest race so far.
Talking to the other day saying at the end of this, the legs are like cement, and so he just scrapping to hang on there does the job.
Well, Luka Jasic there, he was one of those skaters that was battling throughout the entirety of this race, trying to be up towards the front, waiting for that Stephen Dubois attack to hit. So you're just putting in all this work and all the energy to make these moves just starts adding up and becomes more and more taxing on the leg. And that race was just executed perfectly for him.
And I think Canadian fans will be happy too to see that Stephen Dubois is going to be skating in all 3 of the distances this weekend. Of course, he's had an adductor issue that's been causing him some problems. It's held him back a little bit. Only raced in 2 distances last weekend, so
yeah, it was interesting
to see that he's feeling healthy enough to race all of the distances, and not only all of the distances, but the potential to do all of the rounds that come with those distances for a skater like Stephen Dubois, who can be in a final in any distance.
Yeah, coming off the Canadian trials and seeing him withdraw and seeing how he was kind of facing some challenges there, I was a little bit concerned as what kind of form would he be in coming into this World Tour, and I think a lot of that's already been answered by him now, but it was a concerning time, I think, for Stephen.
Totally, but such a deep well of experience to draw on, and obviously he's a very explosive skater, so he can make things happen when he has to, even if he's maybe not quite at his peak, and especially when we're in the heats here.
0.02 of a second the difference, but Jasic does hang on there. Seat number 4. Bozdag, Collins, Hammermuller, Morozov, Tapram, Ayrapetyan, and Hong. I think our first look at him from the Korean White Tigers.
Go to the start. Ready.
Fourth heat in the men's 1500 meters, 1+11 advancements in the quarterfinals. Our number 30
of 11, still just one advancement all morning.
Representing the British Royals.
Clean racing.
It's a
So something that we've talked about a little bit is there's kind of the races within the races here. There's skaters here competing, also, with hopes of Crystal Globe titles in mind, but also those skaters just looking to gain that Olympic qualification entry. And I think of a skater like Luka Asic, as he moves throughout the World Tour, do you think he starts prioritizing distance rather than trying to race every event? If he really has a stronghold now, a good opportunity in the 1500, does he maybe start to back out of some other races to prioritize that distance?
Yeah, if this result holds and he's through, that's going to significantly increase his ranking in this distance and really put him in a good spot for an Olympic qualifying spot, which would be huge for Serbia.
We didn't see them at all last year on the World Tour.
I think he did show up for World Championships, but no World Tour racing.
German skater
Hammermuller on the front.
out front. He's followed in second by
Collins makes his way back into second. Collins turns 22 next month. Now, the Anatolian Par on the front. Bosdag, and Hammermuller's down. He went shoulder to shoulder with Collins. And now here comes Hong as well.
Already a couple reviews up on our screen. That was in the second position of the race, so that is a possible advancement there if there is an incident.
Hong Kyung-hwan jumps to the front. Collins, one of those incidents has been cleared, and now two go down, Collins and Bosdag. And this one will take some time, I'd imagine. A couple more still being reviewed, all the while Hong off and away. And Ida Petian up for second.
Well, Theo Collins there had a little bit of that Stan DeSmit outside-inside pass, but he clipped the blades of Bosdag as he went through just before the apex.
So two of those incidents have been pre-cleared.
Well, and this is where, when you're one of those skaters in that qualifying position, you start to get a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit of hand-wringing there as you wait to see what the decision's going to be on this race, because obviously lots of action. 2 of 3 cleared, but one remaining here as they have to sort it all out.
Well, within one race, you could have 2 advancements.
In theory, yes.
You could have multiple, there could be more, right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, with 2 of the, not in this one though, when it's 2 of, there's the bump. So when it's 2 of them have been cleared, so it is just the one last incident between Collins and Bosdag that's what's being reviewed.
So I think this might
an
be in
illegal
here,
late pass,
yeah.
possibly. And this would be in a second position.
We mentioned this is the first time we saw Hong Kyung-hwan, and interestingly, looking through the start list here, it's the only Korean I'm seeing on the start list for the men's 1500. Unless my eyes are deceiving me. But if that is the case, it's going to be interesting to talk to a few folks and see what's going on there. Rim obviously set the world on fire, the short track world on fire last week with his 1500 meter performance. And we saw him earlier in the 500s, and no Hong Dae-hun either. So
yeah, very interesting. And at first we saw Rim added the 500. We're thinking, okay, now he's going to go for all 3 events. Think about that Crystal Globe. But then to see the absence of Rim in the 1500 is interesting choice by the Korean team, because obviously he's still racing, so there's not an injury or an illness.
Yeah, no, he looked good in his 500 meter heat earlier this morning. So try to get some information for the viewers out there.
Last couple heats have only 6 skaters on them, so yeah, definitely something to note. But their lone entrant does make it through, and it's the Turkish delegation awaits the ruling. Just awaiting that confirmation. Drop down to the ice when they are ready. They're still chatting with the review room there.
I wonder if this would be a late entry disqualification on Theo Collins.
That's what it's looking at. It's a possible illegal late pass.
And then what you have is the advancement on top of a quicker race. So that starts chewing through those second place results.
Well, the Turkish team is patiently waiting for the result to show on the board here.
Bated breath. Looks like they have reached a ruling, and to the ice we go.
Final decision, penalty number 56, Great Britain, and an advancement from number 38 from Turkey.
So we do have an advancement. Bozdag does go through. Two great fist pumping from his delegation. Illegal late pass, there it is. Collins penalized.
Well, those outside to inside passes are something that's a split-second decision. You see that window open, and you either pull the trigger and make it or you don't. You really have to be precise with them, and you have to have a lot of speed laterally to make those work. Didn't quite work for the Brits.
And heat number 5, Clayton DiClemente, Nico Anderman, Liam O'Brien, Timothy Kokelko, Daniel Aibog, Lin Chunxie, and Adrian de Wagtera. First look at him on World Tour this season.
Go to the start. Ready.
We're on to
Clemente, missed World Championships last year, or last season with a broken ankle. One thing we didn't notice it when it happened. He was racing in Milan as a testament, but then he wasn't at the Worlds. But that U.S. program, they pretty much have all they need in Utah. They jumped at their first training camp was a cycling one in St. George in Utah, so there's good hills on the bike. And then, of course, there's the ice when they decide to go back in. I think it all started with a climb up the ski jump hill in the 2002 Olympics. So just about all they needed. Off ice, on ice.
Well, there's never a good time to sustain an injury, but there are more preferable times. So Clayton DiClemente coming out of Milan with the injury, but you know, in terms of timing, you're able to still get back to get some good training in the offseason. It's far worse to have that in the middle of the summer, get an injury that sidelines you for July, August, September, and then you're too late into the season to really respond to it.
The other thing that an injury at that time can do is give you a little bit of extra rest. So sometimes you might not notice that some of that training load is creeping into your legs, but then having some forced rest, it also allows your brain to check out a little bit as well. And that can really do wonders for an athlete, especially in the Olympic season. It's a long season. There's lots of racing, a lot of high-stress racing as well.
Now, DiClemente does hit the front. He's the seated skater in this race, and it is Anderman going down.
Clayton DiClemente currently ranked 30th, so close to that bubble of 36 to get picked to represent their country or the spot for the country at the Olympic Games. So he's definitely looking to put together a few more points and sort of bump up that ranking list to be a little more secure.
And a lot of the countries will use these World Tour results to also select their teams.
You're just pointing out Catherine Reuter-Adamek, who is sometimes analyst with us on the ISU. She pointed out that the U.S., you get a World Tour medal, you are through. And so Corn started with 3 last weekend. And last season, plenty of medal opportunities. She's booked all of her distances with a medal in each distance. And DiClemente will go through. There was one incident being reviewed. It is possibly that, well, it is when Kokelko and Anderman went together. And Anderman going off into the mats. Aibog gets up for second with a 2:24.034.
Well, that leaves Stan de Smet still on that bubble right now with a 2:24.893.
To be the one who could get forced out. So up next is one of those heats with 6 skaters as we process this one.
So there must have been a withdrawal from this race here.
Yeah, there's a couple near the end too. So these are the ones where we feel like maybe there are some of those Korean skaters, but it's a few heats that do have
go to 6 skaters, but usually we would see all 7 skaters throughout and then drop into 6 in the bottom races. So
we'll try to put this all together, and then there's always the remember of pre-qualifications. It's just a lot of names. I mean, we saw William Donjanu warming up here earlier, but he might be one who's already.
I think you're right. I think you guys are right on that one. Yeah. We did.
And Rim as well.
Right.
As a winner. Winner 1-2 last weekend, those two. So.
We are human. We sometimes make mistakes.
Well, I'll take that one.
It looks like there was no discipline in the last race, so
Go
about 2:24
to the start.
on the clock, and we'll get into heat 6 in a moment.
Ready.
We're also extra confusing here when we see a guy like William Donjanu warming up in front of us. It's like, oh, we're just assuming he's going to be in one of these races, and it's like, oh.
Well, when you see a guy like Stephen Dubois too in the heats, and that's because he didn't race the 1500 last weekend. So making his debut there for the weekend.
My fallback all the time in these is there's so many names, and we get ourselves a little bit brains twisted around a few times. Heat 6 has Eirik Andersen of the Norwegian Vikings on the front, Sean McAnuff, Etienne Bastier, Nathan Thomas, Furkan Akar, and Murtalek Kajgali.
And there's so many ranking lists to consider because the world rank is actually your past 6 events, or the last 6 World Tour events results added up, while we're also looking at kind of this World Tour season as a singular series of 4 events that stack up on each other to qualify for the games.
There are a lot of rankings.
Yeah,
they follow through.
Oakville, Ontario native Sean McAnuff, currently sitting in for
Is Bastier, who jumped onto the World Tour season right at the end last year with an 11th, a B final in Tilburg. Nathan Thomas, one of the many Canadian-born athletes skating for other nations. Also behind him, Sean McAnuff, another Canadian-born athlete.
Lots of movement now between our 6 meters with 6 laps to go.
well, Kajgali here looking to wind up, go around the outside. Getting a little bit stuck. The pace is picking up here.
And Akar, we know his top end 500-meter speed. He's gonna slot in, tried to slot into second, but the door wasn't there. Now he does into second behind Bastier.
3.5 laps to go. French skater Bastier in front. Furkan Akar sitting in second. Nathan Thomas
around Anderson. Nathan Thomas, Furkan Akar, and Etienne Bastier, who's doing a good job holding everybody off.
in 6 as we come
This is
now.
where Bastier, well, it opens the door a little bit there. I was going to say he really needs to be careful with his track pattern and defending as he gets bumped.
Thomas with the bump, that'll get reviewed. It's Akar on the front, now under pressure.
Feel the fatigue here.
Oh, they're just trying to stay up. It's Nathan Thomas who will come around. He'll win the heat. I think that incident, that bump will get reviewed with Bastier.
Well, just timing that effort, when do you strike, and bringing it down, looking 4 laps to go, and hoping that you're going to be able to carry to the finish. And for Akar there, you could just see mistimed it slightly, legs turned to concrete that
Only
last
by
lap.
a half a lap. Yeah, just that last half lap there, keeping on his feet was all he could do.
The incident was cleared, so it is Nathan Thomas who takes that one. You saw the fist pump there, so another one of the emotion out. It was Bastier who was sort of getting looked at anyway when the bump happened.
What makes these heats so fun as we get to these later races that the rankings get tighter and tighter together. You have bigger gaps at the top when you have the highest ranked skaters. Create some more separation in a race. But as we get here, we start to see skaters more closely ranked. You know, in the following heat, 38, 47. So they start to get tighter in the pack and more exciting finishes.
Well, and we saw so many passes like this one here, that a little bit of contact there, but a lot of like clean but tight passes, and those cost so much energy. They really work the legs. When you're forced to turn hard, you increase the amount of load in the legs. Good job there. Nathan Thomas really working for the line. He also was running out of gas, but needed to reach. So important to win that race.
You can almost hear them screaming as they're coming down. The legs just crying out for it to end. So Thomas through, Keshgali 2:22.322. Heat number 7 on the ice. Won Jun Moon, Hungarian Falcons, Lucas Henry Koo, Lucas Wareham, Ivan Martinic, Maris Yanis Sternmanis of the Latvian Golden Stars, Eklavia Jagal, and Dennis Ors.
Go to the start. Ready.
In his 7th heat.
Well, I heard you two talking a little bit about helmet design last week, and had a chance to look at Lucas Wareham's helmet this week, and it's a really neat design. Each one of those, the gold circles you can see on there, are actually composed of dots. They're all, I don't know how many dots will be on there, but probably thousands of dots to create that design. Very neat paint job on this helmet.
Yeah, Brennan Corey has a very similar kind of, it must be the same artist, but they're beautifully done.
The colors match pretty much perfectly the kit. And it's interesting to see always that some like the shiny, some like the matte design. Moon on the front, Dennis Ors trying to get around now. Perhaps a skater who would maybe like to slow things down, but he's losing that battle. It starts to pick up. Is Wareham on the front. Martinic behind him.
Wareham out in front. He's followed in second by Martinic, the Croatian Dalmatian.
I'm keeping my eye here on Moon Won Jun. He had a good qualifying last week, but his technique reminds me a little bit of Hong Dae-hun. A similar body type. You see him leaving that gap, just like we talked about earlier on there. This gives him the ability to accelerate into space if he sees the skaters in front of him starting to struggle, and you can see the shoulders. The Croatian skater there, Ivan Martinic, starting to roll a bit, and here goes Moon Won Jun, recognizing that, taking advantage.
Ors up the inside as well. Wareham trying to hold it off, and yeah, Moon around to the lead quite comfortably. And Koo gets up into second, but it is now Moon with a good gap. A couple laps to go.
Lucas Henry Koo, just young skater, is really showing his strength here this World Tour. Qualifying through in the 500-meter earlier today.
And he's going to try to make it close, but there'll be Moon holding him off.
Interesting too, watching the Lucas Koo's coach. Not looking too happy right now. He really wanted his skater to accelerate a little bit harder at the end of the race there, because that time, maybe try to attack for a possible win too in that last lap.
Still gets him ahead of the time of Stan DeSmit. Just a small amount of breathing room, but if we get any more advancements, he could very well be the bubble skater. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4 more heats to go.
Counting down to the end of the morning session here in Montreal.
That pass by Moon Won Jun does a nice job of just maintaining that wider radius going around the outside. Sometimes it can be tough when you're doing an outside pass. You get a little bit antsy, you want to squeeze a bit, and that costs you some speed. It can cost you contact too, which may cost you a penalty. But it's so important to just maintain that wider radius, trust that you have the speed on the outside, which is what Moon Won Jun did there. Nice work by him on the outside.
As you're going around the outside, you're doing a larger turn radius, you're skating a greater distance, so it doesn't look like you might be gaining on them as quickly, but once you hit that straight, you can really slingshot, and then that speed advantage takes over and pulls you by.
Interesting heat number 8 coming up, another one with 6 skaters: Lujan Schwo, Quentin Fercoq, Peter Grosclose, Ivan Donchev, Radek Fajkus, and Tibor Komoricki. to get the ice through the last couple races here. There is gross close.
Go to the start. Ready.
So Lou is the top-seeded skater in this field, but as was mentioned, the seeding starts to close up, and so
representing Hong Kong, China,
Falcock behind him, who prefers the shorter distances, but comparing 38th world ranking of Lou to 47th for Falcock. So I'm sure he's comfortable if it keeps at this pace for a while.
Number 86 representing the Czechia Ice Fighters.
Well, this may be the slowest start that we've seen. These first lap, 14.5 there. 13.6. This is just burning away time right now. Make it incredibly difficult for them to be within range of these previous races. So this is really going to turn into a battle for that win.
I think at this point, the coaches would be reminding the skaters, if it's not already in their mind, that they need to win this race if they want to go through. They see those lap times, still 13 seconds. They're basically out for a Sunday stroll here.
I think someone who was more than happy to see this is Stan DeSmet.
He can breathe a lot more comfortably now.
Of course, we always have our asterisks pending further advancements. Gross close. Popping the legs, trying to pick up the speed as Falcock and Ficus behind him. Always watch out for Lou. See what kind of openings he's finding.
Well, we still haven't broken below 10 seconds yet in this race. Still 10-0 now. Very relaxed for these skaters. It's going to be fireworks as we move up on to 5 to go here. Who will strike first? Lujan Shuo, all the way in the back, has some work to do, but he is a quick skater who can make some moves. Will he try to strike? And for Cock.
Opens it up. Inside 4 to go. Now the potential for fireworks and advancements. So never know with this one, but Falcock off the front. Here comes Lou trying to get around. 3 wide on that corner.
Oh, he's hung out a long time. He's really added a lot of distance. You're seeing that in the legs now.
Oh, and gross close. Down hard, Lou as well. And that one will be reviewed. And Falcock timed it right, got off and away, and then turned on the jets, and that one hurts.
Well, if you're sitting in the back and you're planning to make that outside move, but the pace has been so slow throughout the race and it's 4 to go, it is so hard to make that because everybody just starts hammering the speed and everyone's going at once, and you can easily get hung out to dry like Lujan Shuo there.
That's definitely one where you want to see somebody moving up a little more early while it's easy. I had a soccer coach who used to always say when making passes, make it while it's easy. And that's a case where when it's just floating along 12, 13-second laps, why not go to the front? It costs you almost nothing to lead at that pace, but you don't get caught up on the outside. As you see Lujan Shuo here, he had speed, he had lots of speed, just couldn't quite finish it, and then all of a sudden everyone's deciding, oh, I need to go now, and then he's stuck going way around the outside, and you put yourself at risk of getting taken out. But at this point too, Quentin Falcock had built up quite a lead. It was probably going to be pretty tough for him to bring him back.
Now that was, they just showed a bit of the incident there. It's Ficus on Komarichki, and that would have been, just looking at it, in second place. And so there is the opportunity, I believe, for an advancement if there was something there reviewed, but gross close and Lou then caught up as something of the victims of all that. So a lot to unpack for our officials down there. Tyler, another day where we're relieved that's not us making the decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to unpack in that situation when there's multiple skaters making pass attempts at the same time. So we see, what was it at the time? Where are we? Was it Ficus was going from outside to in on the turn, but simultaneous an inside move being made. So here's Ficus on the outside. They might be looking at outside to in coming across the track. But at the same time, there was an inside pass being made there. Was that Donchak going up the inside?
That was after the fact.
Yeah.
And And so Grosclose kind of squeezed there. That almost Grosclose and Lou was almost unrelated to the Komarichki-Faikus thing.
Tough ball too there. You see the way Grosclose went into the mats, kind of leading almost with his head, bit of whiplash there. Those are, well, anytime you go down is no fun, but that's a tough spot. You got a lot of speed and you hit the boards on that sort of glancing angle. Your body's taking a lot of force.
Yeah, you got to watch, especially with the helmet. It can grip on the mats. I know that's something that they're investigating, is looking at materials that have low friction, so that if you do catch him, you get less, torque rotating you off it, or less whip on your head from that impact.
And oftentimes that's the concussion worry is less from impact, but more from that whiplash and from the acceleration that can come from the whipping and turning of your head like that.
Faikus, Komarichki. Looks like they may be punching in some final results and some decisions. So now, once again, with bated breath, wait to see. And in the end, if I'm not mistaken, the results have been made official. No rulings, no discipline, so Faikus has the second time. Let's see here.
Final decision. A race incident, no rule violation.
There you go. As Tyler pointed out, one was going in, one was going out.
So both skaters making moves at that time. Grosclose just the unfortunate victim of the positioning that he was in while those passes were occurring.
Yeah, you had four across there entering in the corner. Something is going to have to give. Only space to turn.
2:34.803, the second place time.
Well, by far the slowest time by 10 seconds at this point, but not surprised by that given the 14 and 13 second lap times kicking that race off.
Number 9, another one with 6. The last remaining races do have 6 skaters. So Berzins, Nogradi, Riches, Omaragic, Liu, and Roskenblek.
97? Nope. 97. 97 and 95.
Go to the start. Ready.
In this ninth heat, we have 6 skaters. Running number 34, representing the Latvian Golden Stars, Renis Berzins. Number 64,
top-seeded skater in this race.
Number 90, representing the British Royals, Peter Riches. 78.
It's always easy, of course, to pick out Peter Riches in the Maverick helmet.
Number 97, representing Hong Kong, China, Yo Shouqin. And wearing number 95, representing the German Wolves, Jonathan Roskenblek.
The 24-year-old has done some training in Heerenveen in both long and short track.
This is another opportunity there where recognizing that slower pace and a nice job. Roskenblek to take advantage of that, moving to the front. Well, it's easy, and now it's kind of a nice position for him because he's passed in the second. Well, he wasn't in the second there, but it's also important when you do that pass to the front when it's slowly, you don't get swamped back again. So now he's put in that effort when he's shuffled back and forth. He's got to do it again. And all of these little passes, inside, you're turning a little bit tighter, it taxes the legs, and all that adds up. And it affects your ability to be fast in the end when you need it most.
Riches wants to be at the front, keeping out for Berzins, making the move into 4th. Nogradi also wanting to be on the front, knowing that Berzins is going to be coming at some point.
Well, when you're one of those midfield skaters, it's just, you can see them battling so much more for that positioning, where you see kind of the faster, the more top-end skaters being more patient, like Berzins is in this race, just waiting for the right moment, not kind of working overly hard to gain position until it's his time to strike.
And his body language shows that. So here he drops an arm, starting to put some acceleration, taking lots of space, but he can take advantage of this little bit of contact.
Well, it just makes that opportunity for him.
Berzins now hits the front. Couple of reviews coming up now. One was Roskenblek and Omaragic. That's why Roskenblek's off the back right now. But Riches defending his second place, and it will be Bearson's taking it. I think Riches may just hang on for second unofficially, about a 2:21.34. So yeah, that's quite a bit faster than some of the other races we've had. So far, still just the one advancement. So one second place skater will be frozen out at second, unless barring any further advancements, of course. But the first one incident does involve Roskenblack and Omaragic. That one has been cleared now, so nothing coming from there. It's just the second bit of jostling that is what's getting looked at. I believe it was Nogradi and Riches at the front. Have been made official. So yes, nothing doing from the second review that popped up there. So it's Bearson's through, Riches with a 2:21.329 that time. Certainly ahead of a few. With 2 heats to go, he might be feeling relatively comfortable. Heat number 10, Yasapati, Galiakmatov, Van Dam, Bendig, Moret, and Kumurjev.
Go to the start. Ready.
Time may not be a huge consideration of this one.
Number 45
based on
represents
the
the
first
Hungarian
few strides anyway.
Yasapati Beta. Number 59 represents the Kazakh Nomads.
Well, there is a 2:34 time that's in the wing right now. I think they can still come in under that time, but they'll have to start moving sooner or later here.
On front. And number 81 represents the Bulgarian Kings is Stefan Alexander Kumurjev.
Coach, Canadian Jeff Katura. Essentially, I mean, he's essentially building up a program that where there's not a ton of infrastructure.
So difficult, when you have a country with very few membership and very few skaters to build a program. You've got to get people buying in. We talked about the Norwegians. It's so great to see them with a full team, because then they can start to build some momentum, get other skaters in. And such a great part of training is having a great team around you, and that brings you back to the team and wanting to continue to skate and create some depth within the program and challenge each other. So when you just don't have the number of skaters, it becomes a very challenging.
Kumurjev bumped with Van Dam and off into the mats. Oh, get looked at. That was near the back. So if we think about possible advancements, then it would not carry much, but we'll take a look. And Bendig trying to make around the lead.
Robin Bendig
get it.
now by the outside, taking the lead.
Goes Galiakmatov looking around the outside. Peter Yashapati, no response from him. Now he's looking to go. Oh, Moret goes down on his own.
Fortunate for him, he was hanging around there. Galiakmatov and Yasapati 1 and 2. Bendig.
Yasapati carrying some speed here. It'll be smart to just stay on the outside, which he does. That's what you want to do. Utilize the speed that you have.
Our new leader. Last lap now, the Hungarian
striking when the time is right. Yasapati, Galiakmatov 1 and 2. We'll check Galiakmatov's time. Unofficially 2:28.07. what is getting reviewed. It is Van Dam on Kumorjev. I think that might be it right there. Trying to get by and get a little caught up. So the men's 1500 meter quarterfinals do go this afternoon.
Nice job there of Yasapati, just to remain patient. It's easy to sometimes make a pass a little bit too early. I mean, he clearly had the legs at the end of the race. You don't need to force anything. Waited until the race was quite opened up, picked his way through, and then used the speed that he had to just ride right by Galiakmatov.
It's that confidence we kind of talked about earlier, knowing that you don't have to panic when you see Galiakmatov go on the outside, that, okay, there's still time for me. I'll make my move on my own time.
And the results are official. Nothing given out. So Yasapati and Galiakmatov. Van Dam did finish in third. And heat number 10 is in the books. One more to go. And then that will wrap up the morning session. Gleb Ivchenko, Tobias Wolf, Lai Tsai Huan Chen, Peter Murphy, Martin Prantel, and Rio Ong.
Go to the start. Ready.
So Ivchenko and Wolf are 43 and 44 in their world rankings, respectively.
We're on to the last race in the men's 1500
Battle in the offing for them. And this one's certainly a quicker start.
Rio Ong there looking on the outside, pushing to the front. Tobias Wolf was responding there a little bit. That just picked up the pace slightly.
Number 118 from
Michael, how are you enjoying this new World Tour format? It's changed quite dramatically from when you were on the World Cup circuit.
Well, I think as a spectator, I'm loving it. I mean, it's essentially a world championship every single weekend. So you do get to see those head-to-head battles of the elite skaters all the time. I think it obviously takes away a little bit of development opportunity for skaters. Having that second distance each weekend allowed for some skaters to see later rounds than they might otherwise do in a weekend like this. But for the quality of the skating that we're seeing, it's just such a pleasure to see that. As now a spectator and analyst, you gotta love the good races.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now we're starting to see the expanse of short track and how many competitors we have. So even just trying to think about having an additional event would be so many additional races that we have so much more depth, so many more skaters that I don't even know if that would fit in the schedule anymore.
Well, that's especially true at these Olympic qualifying, right? It brings skaters from all over the world who are putting everything into that last sort of few competitions before the Olympics. Everybody wants to be at the Olympics. Everyone wants to represent their country on the biggest stage, so that everyone's here to try and pull together those points. And that's why you're seeing these great battles in these early rounds. So important to grab some points on that quest for the top 36.
And it is Ivchenko and Wolf. Murphy trying to hang on and perhaps mount a late challenge.
Well, they've created some separation here.
And now it really is the top two seeded skaters off and away. And it is Ivchenko who is going to take this one.
As we
18.84.
As we move into the rest of the weekend, too, of course, the Crystal Globe, and that is still somewhat of a new addition to the short track speed skating, and obviously a big part of this World Tour. And Michael, how do you love the addition, or how do you like the addition of that Crystal Globe?
Well, for me, one of the things that I think is really cool about it is it rewards that consistency. So you have a world championship every year, and that shows who's best on one day, but we know short track's so volatile. So much can change in 1 second, 1 instant, but the Crystal Globe really shows who can complete against everyone week in, week out across all distances and do it with that consistency across a whole season. We're talking about a season here that's, it's longer than a lot of other sports. It lasts, we have, countries starting their trials in August, September. and they still need to be performant in March. That's a long, long competitive season, so it's a real kudos to those skaters who are in the battle right to the end. And last year we saw some great battles right at the very last distance of the Crystal Globe competition. So hopefully we'll see some more of that next month. Shorter overall Crystal Globe competition this year, but nonetheless, I'm sure it's going to be very exciting down to the line.
That wraps up the morning session. You see Evchenko and Wolf going through. Let's see who is the one who is squeezed out. Radek Fajkus, heat number 8, was the only second place skater not to move on thanks to one advancement, as you see who will be moving on. And so that ends our morning session, getting back underway with more qualifying this afternoon at 2 p.m. local time. And so that is in about an hour and 15 minutes from now. Hey, Michael, thanks for joining us.
Hey, it was a pleasure.
Nice
Glad to jump in.
Nice to have a different perspective. Good banter between the two of you guys as well. And so welcome anytime. We might not always have a third headset, but we do today. So Tyler, see you in a bit.
We'll see you in a few minutes.
So check wherever you are around the world, wherever you may be watching. About an hour and 15 minutes from now. On behalf of everybody here, we'll see you in a little bit.